let's go. Got them Tigers, balls, tied hogs, gators, and dogs. Let's play some football. It's Florida. And Vanderbilt, get him. SEC football, Lincoln Financial Sports. It's appropriate that Brooks and Dunn open the show because it's a big weekend in Nashville, as not only are the CMAs on Monday night, but Urban Meyer and the Florida Gators have made their way to the Music City as they will take on the much improved and 4-5 Vanderbilt Commodores. And hello again, everybody, and welcome to our All-Tell Game of the Week. I'm Dave Neal here at Vanderbilt Stadium, and an interesting matchup to say the least. This Vanderbilt team with already one big win against the Georgia Bulldogs on the road a few weeks ago. They need 2 more wins to become bowl eligible, but of course they've got to knock off the Gators and then perhaps the Tennessee Volunteers. A tough road to hoe. Now the Florida Gators certainly playing for a lot. The big picture, a national championship. Of course they want to play and win an SEC title, but as you look at the BCS rankings right now, the Florida Gators are sitting at the number 4 spot. West Virginia, of course, lost to Louisville on Thursday night. The question becomes, a good win here, will they still maintain their lead over Louisville? Well, only time will tell, but all they can do is continue to win football games. A guy that won a few football games, the National Football League, as a quarterback, is my analyst today, Dave Archer. And Dave, as a quarterback, you've seen a lot of guys make throws, make runs. What's your take about this Florida situation with Tim Tebow and Chris Leak?
Well, unquestionably, they can both play. They're both players, but what you love is the way they've handled it, Dave. Their great job of keeping the leadership. The unquestioned leader is Chris Leak, but they change their face when Tebow comes into the game because of the power running game. So it's a nice two-headed punch, but it's lovely. It's great the way they handle it.
Well, we should see a little bit more of Tim Tebow today. The coaches told us that they've got a package ready for him, including throwing the football a little bit more than we are accustomed to. Now, on the other side of the field, the Vanderbilt Commodores have a sophomore quarterback that is playing anything but like a sophomore. This guy looks like a senior, and he's only getting better.
Oh, he does. He only gets better every game he plays, and evidence of that is last week against Duke. He rips off 250 yards in the air, 150 on the ground, and is responsible for 5 touchdowns. But what he's doing is he's leading his football team, and that's what you want from a young quarterback, is to learn to be the leader. He is the unquestioned leader of this Commodore offense.
Yeah, and he will have to be huge today. Let's take a look at your Toyota keys to this game.
Well, the keys to the game, Dave, Florida's got to continue to make explosive plays, both throwing the ball and running the ball, and make plays on defense. Come up and get the football, turnovers. And for Vanderbilt has got to not help the Gators. Don't turn the football over. Make the Gator offense go the long way.
All right, well, we'll see if those transpire over the next 60 minutes of this football contest. Urban Meyer, the 42-year-old head coach, second year down at Gainesville. 6th year overall as a head coach, 55-12, but 16-4 with the Gators. Has his club 7-1, 5-1 in SEC play. Bobby Johnson, 55-year-old coach, graduate of Clemson back in 1973. His 5th year here in Vanderbilt, and has perhaps his best all-around football team since he has been on campus. 75-76 overall as a head coach in 14 years. This will be the 40th meeting between these two clubs, and the Gators lead it 28-9 and a couple of ties. Florida won the toss. They defer, so Vandy will receive. It's Josh Allen making a couple of moves out over the 20-yard line. Once again, down on the sidelines is our main man, Dave Baker. Let's check in with him. Buzz?
Hey, Dave, the big matchup we're going to be watching today is this Vandy offensive line against a great Florida front. Bobby Johnson's offensive line has played oh so well when they've been healthy, but Brian Stamper, preseason all-conference, he's out for the year. Only time he's on the field today is the coin toss. And keep an eye on Hamilton Holiday, the center. We just found out he had a bad stomach this morning. Maybe that's because of guys like Cohen and Thomas playing over top of him, but Bobby Johnson doesn't know how much he's going to be able to go.
Thank you, Buzz, and that'll be interesting. Hamilton certainly a leader on that offensive line, making the calls. We will keep an eye on him. Nixon takes the handoff, the snap, and hands it off to the running back, Jason Jackson Garrison. He loses about 3 on the play. Take a look at our Chevy starting lineups, and this Commodore offense led by Earl Bennett. He has been on a mission. 54 receptions on the year, 9 last week. Up front, we told you about Hamilton Holiday. He and Chris Williams are the only guys to have started every game up front for this group. Mac Pyle moves in at right guard today. We'll also keep an eye on Elliott Hood at right tackle, replacing Brian Stamper. The All-SEC performer who was out the remainder of the year after back surgery. So a second down and 14 situation out of the shotgun. Here's Nixon, stands in there, pass batted down at the line of scrimmage. That'll bring up a third down. Chris Nixon has completed 100 out of 188 passes on the year, 53% completion percentage, averaging about 140 yards a game, but coming off that Duke performance where he threw for 250, ran for 150, and of course numbers like that will get you the Offensive Player of the Week just about every time out. Keep an eye on number 10, Earl Bennett, on a 3rd and 14 situation facing the Commodores in a 4-receiver set. 5-man front by the Gators. It's a little delay handoff. The Gators read it well and stopped it after a 2-yard pickup, and that'll bring up a 4th down and 11. Jarvis Moss with the stop for Florida. As we take a look at that Chevy starting lineup for the Gators, Marcus Thomas, 10 tackles against Auburn, was a career high. This front 4, they have been awesome. They haven't needed much help, and they've allowed these guys to make a ton of tackles. Earl Everett leads the team. Brandon Seiler is second in tackles in the secondary, led by none other than Reggie Nelson. The punt is blocked. The Gators will fall on it at the 5-yard line. And Dave Archer, you said Vanderbilt cannot afford to help the Florida Gators, and they just did.
Well, Florida has a guy come unblocked in the punt protection, and it can't happen. Ryan Smith comes off the edge. Nobody touched him. He came in off the gunner to the outside. Vanderbilt did not account for him and really just took the ball off the foot of the punter.
Well, this Vanderbilt defense already in a hole.
They're already set up, Dave. We saw the first 3 plays from the Gator defense, and really what they want to do, come up and line up and hit you in the mouth and see if you can handle it. And Vanderbilt did not handle it in the first 3 snaps, and then they do the same thing to you on special teams.
First block of the year against Vandy's punter, Brett Upson. And a bad time with 13:09 to go in the first quarter. Out of a stacked die, here's Deshaun Wynn. He's driving forward inside the 5, down to the 4. Got maybe a yard and a half on the play. Chris Leak under center. He has completed almost 62% of his passes on the year, closing in on 10,000 career yards, trailing Danny Werfel in that department by a little over 900 yards.
Already owns the records at Florida for completions and attempts, Dave, and like you said, he's closing in on Danny Werfel.
Second down and goal from the 4. Out of the shotgun, 5-receiver set. Florida loves to spread the field. They're doing it here. They'll use a quarterback keeper. And Chris Lick dancing around. Did he get in? Yes, he did. Touchdown, Florida.
Really a pretty easy call, Dave, for Chris Leak. Probably had a check with me at the line of scrimmage. And when he saw that he'd spread out this Commodore defense, nobody in the middle of the field, he just stepped back, the simulated pass, and then kept it through the middle. And he's strong enough in the lower half to get himself in the end zone. See, nobody in the box here. Just get people blocked. Get a hat on somebody and let Chris Leak use that athleticism to get in the end zone.
Looks like Steve Rissler is down, the starting center for Florida. The senior out of Sarasota, Florida, has come in and done a nice job replacing Mike DeGore, who started 50 straight games for Florida up front.
Well, when you're on the road, Dave, and you got a big game like Florida's got here at Vanderbilt, what a great way for them to start. They needed to get off to a fast start, try to take Vanderbilt out of the game early. It'll see how resilient Bobby Johnson's crew is hanging in against this Florida team.
The 6'3", 300-pounder. Getting some help off the field. And after a week of, I guess you could say, tryouts at kicking, Chris Hetland will remain the Florida kicker. He has struggled this season, just 1 out of 7 in the field goal department. And a bad snap. A bot snap. Throw it in the end zone. It's caught for the 2-point conversion. Are you serious? Tate Casey, the tight end, broke off from his protection, got in the end zone, and beat Joel Caldwell to the football, and it's 8-0.
Was not ready for the snap. Got to the outside. Casey, the fire drill. Go find a place for me. Made a play.
The Alltel SEC Game of the Week is being brought to you by Alltel, by Lincoln Financial Group, by Infinity, by Crystal, by Geico, by Ruby Tuesday, by Chevrolet, and by Chick-fil-A.
Downtown Nashville, it has been bustling with activity as Monday, the Country Music Awards taking center stage down on Broadway. All the honky-tonks. Good time to come and listen to some music and get ready for a big weekend of football here. The Florida Gators get a punt block a punt, set it up inside the 5, and Chris Leak takes it in from the 4, and then the snap was mishandled on the extra point. The 2-point conversion was then put into effect on the pass. So it's 8-0, and a flag comes in as Josh Allen takes it out over the 25 to the 27-yard line. One of the things Bobby Johnson told us is that he cannot afford to have his team get shell-shocked early. They need to withstand the Florida onslaught, get comfortable with all the formations and whatnot, but that's not the way to get it done, having a punt blocked.
Here in the return, illegal block in the back, number 26, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, let's go down and check in with Dave Baker. Buzz?
Hey, Dave, as you know, each and every week before we do these things, I have a chance to talk to the head coaches before we get going, ask about any late changes. Asked the same thing of Bobby Johnson and Urban Meyer. Both said no. Now we find out that Marcus Thomas, the big defensive lineman for Florida, the 6'3", 296-pound senior, did not make the trip. He was a late scratch. I'm told by Florida officials that his status will be addressed at the end of the game.
Interesting. Pass is caught out on the far side by George Smith. Give him a gain of 9 on the play. Well, that is an interesting late development, to say the least, on that front 4. The good news for Charlie Strong and Greg Madison, the co-defensive coordinators, is they've been able to rotate 6-7 guys along that front 4. So they have developed some depth throughout this season.
Yeah, Dave, you just kind of re-athlete up front.
Second and short. Good call here for offensive coordinator Ted Kane. Ball just handed off the right side. Case and Jackson Garrison swarmed by a load of white jersey led by Brandon Seiler, that middle linebacker.
Well, Vandy comes out with a really good first play against the man coverage. Got Chris Nixon in a rhythm, got the out route, got a nice pickup. And you said, Dave, put him in a good situation on third down now in short. Didn't get anything on the run play, but it's still run and pass as part of the mix. But you got to take advantage of the passing situations, because they're going to play man coverage on the outside. Opportunities for some plays.
There's
for Earl Bennett here.
That's Ted Kane, the offensive coordinator. A couple of tight ends on a 3rd down and 1. The handoff goes right to Case and Jackson Garrison. I don't think he got it.
That was a direct snap out of the shotgun to the running back. Chris Nixon had split out wide to the right side. And Jackson Garrison is the only player in the backfield. Just a direct snap from the center to the running back. And this Gator defense rises up and stops the run again. Derek Harvey, Brandon Seiler. No place to go.
They just blew off that Vanderbilt offensive line. Bad snap. Brett Upson gets it away. It's a good kick. High kick. Fair catch called for at the 36-yard line by Brandon James. So good field position now for the Gators on offense. They already lead 8-0. We'll come back to Nashville on a gorgeous day for football after a word from your local stations. Looking at Urban Meyer, his offense now has some green grass to work with. Their first possession only had to cover about 5.5 yards. Steve Ressler, who left on the touchdown run by Chris Leak, is back in at center, number 79. That's good news for Gator fans. Out of the shotgun. Leak will work. First down and 10 from the 36. Inside handoff to Sean Wynn. Deshaun driving out over the 40. Good hard running for the senior tailback. Take a look at our Chevy starting lineups. Didn't get to this in the first possession because it didn't take very long. But Dallas Baker having another good season. 37 catches. Has a sore shoulder. However, in the last 9 games, he does have 8 touchdowns. Up front, this is a group that is still trying to get it all together. Last week, Urban Meyer said his team got beat by some quicker defensive ends of Georgia. Spent some time this week trying to help those tackles out. Deron Speed comes in from a corner blitz. That's the other side that drops him. Curtis Gatewood will pick up his 6th sack of the season, a loss of 8.
Credit Speed coming off the edge, Dave. It screws up the protection and allows Gatewood to get back inside, gaining on that side. A little twist between the tackle and the end, and Speed coming off the quarterback spot from his nickel spot created a problem in the protection, and Gatewood slides through and makes the play.
Now, Florida didn't give up any sacks last week, but yet that speed on the edge by Georgia caused similar problems for this Florida team. 5 receiver set on a 3rd down and 14. And a delay of game coming against the Gators, so they'll back them up 5 more. There's Bruce Fowler, the defensive coordinator. Take a look at this Vanderbilt defense quickly. Of course, their front 4 has gotten better and better, led by Curtis Gatewood, Chris Booker, a couple of good defensive ends. The linebackers are good with Goff, Joyce, and Buggs. And in the secondary, Langford, boy, he's a big-time safety, and he's just a sophomore out of Tanner, Alabama. Here we go, 3rd down now, and call it 18 and a half. Leak stands in that pocket. Over the middle, passes caught, but it's short by about 5 yards. Andre Bubba Caldwell picks up his 32nd grab of the season.
Outstanding catch by Caldwell coming from the slot position. Leak looks over the right away. It's a zone coverage, throws the ball over the top of Goff. Outstanding catch by Caldwell, but because of the sack by Gatewood, 3rd and long situation, tough to pick that up.
So Florida will have to punt it away. Eric Wilbur, one of the best in the country, gets off a high, towering kick. Fair catch called for back at the 10-yard line by Alex Washington.
Alex Washington with a fair catch.
Well, Alltel presents Text to Win Trivia Challenge. Today's question, who holds the Florida record for lowest career interception percentage? Danny Werfel, Chris Leak, or Rex Grossman? Use your Alltel wireless phone to text your answer to short code SEC fan at 732-326 or visit lfsports.com to submit your answer. You will be entered to win a trip for you and your circle to see Florida play Florida State in Tallahassee on November 25th. Well, Dave, what do you do as a coordinator? You're backed up again. You haven't had much success. Do you try to take some chances or just churn out, try to find a way to get a 1st down?
You got to let Nixon throw the ball on 1st down.
That's what they'll do here. The playmaker gets it out close to the 1st down marker. See where they spot it. That will be good enough for a 1st down. So,
well, you got to know, Dave, the strength of the Florida defense is their front 7. Their ability to get after you against the run, the ability to get after your passer. So now you got to take advantage of whether they're playing a zone or man coverage. Your athletes are going to be singled on the outside, and nobody's better in the SEC than Earl Bennett, especially if he's singled. That time was a zone coverage. Chris Nixon, great decision, throw the ball to the outside, got the 1st down.
Once again, the Gators going today without Marcus Thomas up front. The defensive tackle did not make the trip. No word on exactly what has happened to Marcus. He's had some issues in the past. Back to the outside, but again. Who else? Number 10, Earl Bennett. Coming off a 9-catch, 185-yard performance against Duke just last Saturday.
Now, the beauty of what Ted Kane does, offensive coordinator for Vanderbilt, is he moves Earl Bennett around. He realizes Earl Bennett's his playmaker out on the perimeter. The first pass play, you saw Bennett outside, catches the hitch route, gets the 1st down. This time from the slot, singled against Ryan Smith, gets the 1st down on the out route.
Bennett had a 77-yard touchdown grab last week, and he leads the league in catches per game at 6. Going up top. Pass is caught at the 40. Out of bounds. A spot Reggie Lewis.
It's man coverage, Dave, and there's an opportunity if you can get your quarterback protected to make some plays down the field. This is just a fade route from Sean Walker. And Walker's able to run by Reggie Lewis for the big throw. Earl Bennett was in the slot to that side, ran the out route, probably got a little attention from the secondary.
A gain of 37 yards, the 13th catch of the year for Sean Walker. He had 3 grabs last Saturday. Here comes some heat. Nixon sees it. Will keep it. Gets to the 30 and is stood up by Jarvis Moss with a big hit.
Now, anytime you make some plays on a good defense, they're going to dial up some pressure. This time Florida comes with a blitz off the slot to the wide side of the field. Nixon sees it, is able to hit it up in there for a nice pickup, and now he keeps it in a manageable play calling situation for Ted Kane in the offense.
Give him 3.5 on the carry. Today's First and 10 line brought to you by Titan Technology. Go to s2v.com to learn more about how Titan makes IT right. Up top, passes nearly caught. Good coverage on the far side. Looking for Marlon White. Coverage by Ryan Smith. Good play all the way around.
Oh, it's outstanding coverage by Ryan Smith. Again, they try to catch him with the fade route. Florida's coming with pressure. Chris Nixon puts his player up to bat. Outstanding coverage. And a ball that Ryan Smith was able to get his hands in there. Kind of break up the loop.
Charlie Strong, the co-defensive coordinator, calling the plays. Ryan Smith, a junior out of California by way of Utah. Nixon under pressure. Here's back. He's at the 15. Spins down to the 14. Reggie Nelson brings him down.
Outstanding read this time, Dave, by Chris Nixon, the sophomore quarterback. The blitz was Tremaine McCullum coming off the slot. Nixon sees it. His eyes immediately swivel to Earl Bennett, running the slant route. That's the blitz adjustment. And Reggie Nelson has to save a touchdown. Nixon's eyes immediately saw the blitz coming. He immediately got to his blitz break off. That was Earl Bennett. Big play.
That'll make it first down and 10 from the 13. Out of the shotgun. The left handoff. Casey Jackson Garrison to the 5. Touchdown Vanderbilt. What a drive by the Commodores.
Bobby Johnson's going to keep his offense on the field, Dave, and try to match the 2-point conversion. Hamilton Holiday, the center, coming off on Ray McDonald, big-time block, and then Jackson Garrison running through Reggie Nelson at the goal line to get in the end zone. And now Chris Nixon trying to dial one up here for the 2-point conversion.
Florida converted on their 2-point conversion off a bobbled snap. And now it looks as though a timeout will be taken. We'll see who signaled the timeout.
Timeout, Florida.
And the Gators decide that they will take the timeout. They only had 10 on the field. So the Commodores trying to respond and tie it up here in the first quarter. But Dave Archer, that was a 7-play, 90-yard drive that took 1:48. We will return after these messages from Florida and Vanderbilt. Bobby Johnson's club certainly took advantage of a long field. They went 90 yards, and that was a well-executed. You said Nixon needed to start throwing it, and he did.
Well, it was all about execution. You can dial up plays and draw plays, but you got to get it done, and players step up and make plays. Chris Nixon's read of the blitz was outstanding.
2-point conversion on the way as Nixon works out of the shotgun. Marlon White in motion. Over the middle. Pass is incomplete. Batted out of there by Tony Joyner. So a good drive by Vanderbilt gets them 6 points on the board. We've got 6:17 to go in the opening quarter. The Gators lead it by 2. SEC football is brought to you in part by Chevrolet. Earl Bennett, a big factor in that last drive by
huge
the
factor. Huge factor. Chris Nixon's going to keep kicking himself after he watches. Oh, okay. Okay, my bad. My bad. I thought we were back. I heard you talking.
So Vanderbilt getting ready to kick it off. Hanfeld will send it down to the 5-yard line. Taken by Brandon James out over the 20 to the 26-yard line. Chris Johnson with the special teams tackle. Go back to that 2-point conversion, Dave.
Well, you're talking about Earl Bennett, and Earl Bennett's going to run the delayed out. He's right here. Wide open underneath. Chris Nixon will be kicking himself after he watches the film on that one, Dave.
Yeah, that's going to be one they're going to look at and say, oops. Nonetheless, it was a big touchdown drive that certainly gave Vandy some confidence after an auspicious beginning. So the Gators will work at the 26-yard line. Sean Wynn out over the 30-yard line. When we talked to Urban Meyer earlier this week, he said Deshaun will be more of a factor in the running game. They have had, I think that's one area that's been, they've had wide receivers carrying the football, quarterbacks carrying the football. The one thing they've lacked is really a consistent tailback to carry the football.
Yeah, Dave, they've had to depend on Chris Tebow, or Tim Tebow, to come in the game and run the football from a power concept. They're hoping that Deshaun Wynn now is healthy enough where he can carry part of that load.
Second down and 6. Little play action to Wayne. Leak has time. Going up top. Pass is knocked away at the last minute down at the 30-yard line. Looking for Riley Cooper, the true freshman out of Clearwater, covered by another true freshman, DJ Moore.
Well, it's outstanding coverage by Moore to the outside. Freshman cornerback working one-on-one to the outside. Riley Cooper, but look at the position of the corner. Be able to get his hands in there and keep Cooper from coming and getting the ball over the top. Nice job by Moore in the coverage.
3rd and 6 situation coming up now for the Gators.
It's a young secondary, Dave. We're talking about 6 freshmen or redshirt freshmen playing in the secondary.
And the experienced guy is Rashard Langford. He's just a sophomore. Play clock down to 2. They get the snap away. Leak under pressure. Being chased. He'll try to get them by way of the ground, and he is able to pick up the first down. Good scrambling ability by Chris Leak.
Well, this is one of those opportunities for a quarterback to get out on the edge, and he just wanted the first down more than Vanderbilt wanted to stop him. He skates outside. They really have him hemmed in. They do a good job of leveraging him, and right here he turns it up. He wants the first down more. Gatewood was able to put the pressure on again. They're having a tough time blocking Gatewood on the outside.
That's Bruce Fowler, the defensive coordinator. Says it's nice to coach a defense that has the kind of speed he's kind of developed the last couple of years. SEC-type speed in on the defense. That time, Chris Leak able to outrun it. Here's Deshaun Wynn off the right side. Breaks a tackle to the 45, to the 46-yard line. Deshaun Wynn looking very good today. Remember, he's got a sprained knee, been battling through that. He missed about a game and a half. Didn't really start carrying the football until late in the game against Georgia and picked up some big first downs. A real big one to help run out the clock.
Boy, it's got to be a breath of fresh air for Urban Meyer to see Deshaun Wynn running the way he is and know that he doesn't have to go get his freshman quarterback to execute the power running game. That time just the counter play with Deshaun Wynn picking up a nice game.
Look at our Aaron's scoreboard. Michigan by 5 over Ball State at home. Good catch by Jamal Cornelius. Get that out. Oh, excuse me, Percy Harvin, number 8.
What Florida wants to do is a lot of misdirection stuff, but it all stems from the running game. And then once you get the running game cranked up, then you have the ability to do some of the things you just saw. We saw Deshaun Wynn come up with a couple of big runs, and now the play action, the bootleg off of it with Leak out on the edge to pick up the first down. Makes it very difficult to defend.
Harvin's been bothered by a sprained ankle. Out of the shotgun. Here's Leak. Down to the 44-yard line. Chris Booker makes the stop.
Designed run all the way for Chris Leak. He's going to fake the handoff to Deshaun Wynn, and then he wanted to get to the outside or to the tackle spot on the right, but the Commodores did a nice job of defending that area, so he followed Wynn into the hole. So good job by Vanderbilt to sniff that one out.
Chris Leak's had a pretty good career against the Commodores. 69 out of 95, throwing the ball 743 yards, 6 touchdowns in 3 games. Keyston Moore in at tailback. He'll get the handoff. Whistles blow. I think there's a flag. I don't think that play will hold up. Chris Booker will make the tackle, but I think that play, the whistle blew before the play.
Before the snap, ball start, number 84, offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
So penalties have been an issue for Urban Meyer. It has bothered him all week long. They've even brought in some officials during their practices, something he's never done before this week, especially this late in the season, to try to get his team out of this funk. But they are dead last in the SEC in penalties.
Yeah, averaging over 9 a game.
They are 103rd in the NCAA in that department. 5 receivers set. And Vanderbilt all over it. Andre Caldwell makes the catch. Chris Booker saw it coming. A gain of, give him a yard and a half.
Well, you have to be impressed with the 2 edge defenders for Vanderbilt and how active they are. Booker's going to make the play. The screen to Caldwell, but Booker coming off the defensive end spot makes the play. You called Booker's name a play before, Dave. You've called Gatewood's name a number of times already today. Both guys playing at a high level.
So 3rd down and a dozen. 2.5 to go here in the first quarter. Empty backfield. Leak stands in there again. Pass dropped at the 30-yard line. Dallas Baker just dropped it.
It's a zone coverage from Vanderbilt. Huge hole opens up over the middle. Good read by Chris Leak. It looked like the ball sailed a little bit with the wind on the field. There's some wind on the field. Looked like the ball sailed a little bit. Baker had a tough time judging it and doesn't make the play.
A lot of movement even on the punt team for Florida. Alex Washington back to return it. He stands at the 10. That's a tough sun he's looking into. Wilbur gets the punt away. A wobbly kick. Washington gets out of the way. It rolls down to the 1-yard line. Maybe inside the 1. Good special teams play by Florida. Tremaine McCollum downs it at the 1-yard line. A 47-yard kick by Eric Wilbur. Take a look at our Firehouse Subs home field advantage, and as you might expect, with the great start last year and a good season that ended with a win over Tennessee, Vanderbilt fans kind of got back into the groove football-wise, and season tickets have increased, the highest they have been since '99, and a good crowd on hand today. Of course, Tennessee comes to Vanderbilt Stadium to end the regular season for Vanderbilt in a few weeks. It has been a tough road for Bobby Johnson's club because they have yet to have a week off. They won't have one this year.
That's tough when you can't get a break and try to get some of your people back.
So the Commodores backed up. They'll actually spot the ball back at the 5. That's where it was initially touched by a defender. Nixon bouncing around and gets to the line of scrimmage. But they were backed up last time at the 10-yard line, Dave, and they decided to use all 90 yards.
We talked about execution. Chris Nixon got Earl Bennett involved early and often. This was an outstanding play here. The timing, the execution, the big play to Walker on the fade. And then Jackson Garrison's going to pound one through the middle for the touchdown. The play we don't see in that package was the read by Chris Nixon against the zone to Earl Bennett as well. So outstanding execution by the Vanderbilt offense.
And now this offense looking at a 2nd and 11. Nixon out of the shotgun will stand right on the goal line. They'll swing it out to the near side. Nothing doing there. The Gators read it and blew it up. Brandon Seiler led the way for that Gators defensively, along with Tremaine McCollum. Boy, Seiler's just a, you hear the term, he's just a baller.
Yeah, he's a heat-seeking missile is what he is. He just goes to the football. And the reason he's able to go to the football is he gets his 5th tackle of the game already, is his front 4 is so active and athletic that they eat up the 5 blockers, and now Seiler can make plays.
You just saw Greg Madison, the co-defensive coordinator, on the sidelines. 3-man front. And a 3rd and long. Nixon running. Here comes that missile you were talking about, and he blew up Chris Nixon. And that'll bring up a 4th down.
Well, good job of Chris Nixon to buy some time against the 3-man rush. Was able to avoid McDonald and got out to the outside, buy a little bit more time, and throw the football away. Good decision by the young quarterback. McDonald wins inside right now. I'm sorry, Harvey wins inside right now. And then Nixon throws the football away as you saw Seiler coming over to make the play.
The speed of Brandon Seiler is impressive. Boy, Florida has nobody back. Now all of a sudden here comes Brandon James running back to return the punt. He'll stand at the 40. Nearly blocked again, but Upson gets away a good kick. Fair catch called for at midfield under duress. Brett Upson does a nice job, the true freshman out of Griffin, Georgia. But a short field in store for the Florida Gators with just 2 seconds to go, and they will start the clock here momentarily, and that'll be the end of the first quarter as we take a look at our Chick-fil-A nugget of today's game. And you see where Chris Leak ranks among SEC passers for passing yardage. He's about to catch Eli Manning and work his way up some pretty impressive names in the SEC. David Green with 11,528 yards leads all SEC quarterbacks. Well, that'll do it for the first 15 minutes. Pretty interesting, to say the least. 7th-ranked Florida has an early lead on the road. It was a block punt, then a league touchdown run that gave the Gators their points to start this one. Back after this. We're back in Nashville, and obviously those are some friends and family of Rashad Langford, the sophomore safety for the Commodores. Good to be here on a gorgeous fall afternoon for SEC football. Talked to Bobby Johnson before the game. Excited. Says his team, they just have confidence. They've gradually earned their respect, their stripes in the SEC. And of course, last year nearly took this Gators team down. They lost in overtime, double overtime in Gainesville. And of course beat Georgia earlier this season. Dallas Baker doesn't drop this one, gets hit hard down at the 27-yard line. Jonathan Goff came in late and laid the big hit on Dallas Baker, who's already bothered by a bad shoulder.
Another product of the pass protection and the run game, as Chris Leak play action fakes, drew everybody up, and then threw in behind the linebackers. All the linebackers are up tight. Easy throw for Chris Leak.
A gain of 23 gives the Gators a 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. Off the right side, Deshaun Wynn gets a couple on the play. Theo Horrocks makes the stop for Vanderbilt. Our Gatorade first quarter stats. Vanderbilt with 95 yards, 90 coming on the touchdown drive.
That's an outstanding job of Vanderbilt, Dave, hanging in there, doing what they need to do when they got the football. They have to answer when you turn the football over. You got to answer and get a score yourself. That's exactly what Chris Nixon and his offense did.
2nd and 7. Here's a little option to the left side. Back pitch. Winner have to fall back on it at the 35-yard line. A loss of 12.
We talked about the blend of the 2 quarterbacks, Dave, and the ability of Chris Leak to come out of the game and Tebow to come in the game. We've not seen Tebow yet, but that's a play that Tebow specializes in, the option run, and it's really not something Leak wants to do. It's not something he's really good at, and subsequently they get a tip ball. Good job by Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Deron Speed, the freshman, got his hand on that football. Here comes some Commodore pressure. Little zone blitz. Leak throws it. Pass is caught, and the flag is down at the line of scrimmage. Dallas Baker makes the catch. And that is right at the first down marker. Vanderbilt might have been in the neutral zone. They
had people around the line of scrimmage, Dave. Looked like they're trying to come with some pressure.
Offsides, number 2, defense. Penalties declined. The result of the play is a first down.
Well, Dallas Baker is a great outside receiver, and he does a good job of running the route here. Pushes the corner off. Corner way too far off on the play. And Chris Leak did a good job of buying time in the pocket. Made a good throw to Baker on the outside for the first down.
Baker, the senior, out of New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Not much happening up the middle. Maybe a yard or two for Deshaun Wynn. Take a look at our red zone, powered by Honda generators for the ultimate tailgating experience. You see what the Gators, they got last week against Georgia, had 2 opportunities inside that red zone, able to pick up a touchdown. On the year, they have scored a touchdown 66% of the time they have been in that red zone. That is the 4th best number in the SEC. Second down and 8. Leak to throw in the end zone. Wide open. Dallas Baker. Touchdown, Florida. His 7th touchdown of the year. And that'll be his 9th touchdown in the last 9.5 games for Mr. Baker.
That's just a good job of Baker winning at the line of scrimmage. Press coverage on the outside against DJ Moore. Good protection up front, but Baker did a good job of beating the bump and run coverage of DJ Moore. And a good easy throw. When Leak saw he was so open, he just floated it into his big receiver.
This time, the point after is up and good. 17 touchdown passes for Chris Leak this season. Mick Hubert, the voice of the Gators, loves to say Dallas Baker, the touchdown maker. That's all he's done. It's our all-tell game of the week from Nashville, Tennessee, where the Florida Gators lead Vanderbilt 15-6. Chris Leak has gone the distance to this point for the Gators. He is 6 out of 8 for 78 yards. 1 touchdown. He's also carried it 5 times and picked up 6 yards on the ground. Joey Ehas to kick it away for Florida. It's a short kick down to the 16-yard line. Josh Allen will take it and bring it out close to the 30-yard line. Time now for our Q Motor Oil Power 25. As you look and see where in the AP rankings that Auburn, Florida, and Tennessee go 6, 7, and 8. Then Arkansas and LSU at 12 and 13. And our undefeated teams to this point, there are 5 remaining. But one of those 2 will go down as they meet at the end of the year. Louisville also undefeated, as well as Boise State. But of course, Rutgers is in the mix at 8-0, but they play next Thursday night against Louisville. So at the end of the year, there's a chance that we'll have 3 unbeatens. And we'll see if a 1-loss team is good enough to get to that BCS title game. Nixon throws behind George Smith.
But Chris Nixon, the sky's the limit for this kid. His ability to create outside and then his ability to throw the football. I think it's one of the great mixes in all of college football. And Vanderbilt fans have got to be ecstatic. He's just a sophomore. The chances of him being a player of the year type player is still in the mix for this kid.
Nixon now 6 out of 10 for 81 yards. And having to come in and replace a Jay Cutler is a lot to ask of anybody, but he certainly has quieted any of those discussions.
Well, he's coming in with his own personality and his ability to create things. He's going to burn a timeout here. Didn't like the setup he had on the field.
Timeout on the field. We'll step aside as well. 11:34 to play here in the second quarter. Florida leads at 15-6. Back after these messages from your local stations.
Gators on top of the Commodores 15-6 here at Vanderbilt Stadium. And one of the big reasons that this Florida defense, Dave Neal, has played so well throughout the years has been Brandon Seiler. He's the emotional leader of this team. He's got that chain that signifies togetherness. He and Earl Everett have combined for 63 starts between them. Everett's kind of the silent assassin on the defense, but they make up one of the best linebacker tandems in the SEC.
Yes, they do, Dave Baker. Pass is bobbled. And I think they say it's a catch. They will say it's a catch on the far side by Bennett. He might have lost a yard, though. Ryan Smith on the coverage.
The last two throws of Chris Nixon have been his two worst of the game. It's because of his footwork. See a flat-footed throw to the outside. No way to pull your hand down. A good job of Bennett putting his hands on the ball, but it's a good design to spread the defense out, pick out the guy they don't cover. But Chris Nixon didn't get his feet set to gun that ball out there and get Earl Bennett a chance to run with it.
How much of that has to do with the fact he got hit early in this game?
Well, he settled in that one drive, Dave. I just think he's letting his feet get a little bit dead on him.
He will throw it again over the middle. Pass is caught by George Smith, who goes backwards a couple of yards. Earl Everett makes the stop. That'll bring up a third down and about 2.5, maybe 3.
That's a nice catch by George Smith. You got to make some plays for your quarterback when you're a receiver. This ball thrown behind. Outstanding job of Smith making a play.
And Seiler just missed getting a paw on it. By the way, that brings up 4th down. My mistake there. Brandon James back to return the punt of Brett Upson. It's a wobbly kick. Line drive. James has a chance to dance around and make some people miss. And then he gets hit from behind at the 35-yard line. Brandon Bryant on that special teams tackle. Closed captioning is provided by IKBI Incorporated. Building vision, building relationships. For more info, go to ikbiinc.com.
Got a little Chris Tebow coming in the game now, Dave.
Tim Tebow making his way, his first appearance today. Tebow, coaches told us what they were hoping to get him more involved in the offense this week. They have put together a complete package for him, running and throwing the inside handoff to Deshaun Wynn. Gets maybe a yard and a half. Curtis Gatewood with the tackle. You look at these two quarterbacks, obviously very different quarterbacks, but they all bring something. They both bring something different to the table, and it makes it hard for defensive coordinators to figure out exactly how to stop these guys.
Well, Tebow has been the running part of it, but I think they're going to expand his passing attack. And I know if I call Tim Chris or one more time, his mom's going to call me. So
Tim, the true freshman at Jacksonville High School, the left-hander, stands in the pocket, will throw. Pass is caught on the far side. Out to the 39-yard line goes Jamel Cornelius. Gain of 5 on the play.
Tim Tebow's ability to create is something that makes him special at the size that he is. At 6'3", 225 pounds, 230 pounds, his ability to float, make people miss, is something people haven't seen much of. They see him running the football, but his ability to create space and throw the football is something else that you're going to get a chance to see as he becomes the quarterback here at Florida.
He's looking at a 3rd down and 5 situation. Little quarterback keeper. He stops shy of the 1st down. He'll be about 2 yards shy of the 1st down marker. Ray Brown makes the stop.
But it's a nice job of Vanderbilt's defense understanding that Tebow's in the game and knowing that their pass rush you have to stay in your lanes, because if you create an opening, Tebow's going to take off with it. They did a real nice job of keeping their rush lanes and taking away the run for Tebow.
Alex Washington back to receive the punt. Eric Wilder. Pressure came, nearly blocked. It is a high kick. Fair catch called for by Washington, and he'll make it at the 17-yard line. And a flag comes in at the last moment, right in front of Washington. could go against Vanderbilt the way the Gators are celebrating.
It's kind of a late flag, Dave. Really hard to figure this one out.
Got just my gut feeling. The old block in the back.
You like that one, huh?
Seems like more and more of these block in the backs are coming up this year.
Illegal block in the back. Number 5, receiving team. By rule, the penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick. First down. Timeout.
That was not a sound play on special teams by Myron Lewis.
Yeah, if you're going to block somebody in the back, don't do it right in front of the official.
Right. Timeout on the field. We'll be back right after this.
Gators on top of the Commodores, 15-6 during the timeout. Bobby Johnson all over referee Mark Curls. He was saying, how could there be a block in the back during the return, Dave, if there wasn't a return? Now, that's not my interpretation. That's just what Bobby Johnson was saying.
Right. I got you. Glad we clarified that. Pass is low and behind Sean Walker because it was hit at the line by Stephen Harris. But Vandy has been backed up all day long offensively.
Average starting position, their own 17-yard line. On the other hand, Florida, their own 48.
Oh.
So the whole game has been played on Vandy's end of the field. Now, Chris Nixon just had that ball batted down. He's got to find some throwing lanes and get the ball through. That's the responsibility of the quarterback.
Here's Nixon. He sees a big hole off the left side. Still on his feet. And a good open field tackle by Reggie Nelson, or that could have gone for a lot more than the 12 it went for.
Chris Nixon does a nice job of reading this play. Is he able to hand this off or keep it himself? How about that hole right there? There's your lane right there. Outstanding lane. And Chris Nixon does a good job of running with it after the fact.
Nixon with 150 yards on the ground last week. But he did have a subpar game against South Carolina 2 weeks ago. That's 4 of 15 through the air, a couple of interceptions. So we responded well on the road at Duke. Pocket is nice, pass is even better, and the catch is superior. Out to the 40-yard line, Earl Bennett. Brought down by Ryan Smith, a gain of 19 yards. And
Earl Bennett working from the slot. Chris Nixon, watch his eyes. Swivels to the outside. He's got Bennett running the corner route versus the zone in Florida. Nice job of Bennett getting in that hole, and then Nixon putting it on the line.
Earl Bennett today has 6 catches of those 9 completions by Chris Nixon. Nixon stands in the pocket. Passes right through the hands of Marlon White and nearly picked off. Reggie Lewis was on the coverage, and he just about had his 3rd interception of the year.
Now, if you're nitpicking from a coaching standpoint, Nixon takes his receiver up the field too much with the throw. The throw should flatten him towards the quarterback as opposed to taking him up the field, and subsequently the receiver laid out and the ball was tipped in the air and almost picked off.
Lewis, the senior out of Jacksonville, Florida, 2 interceptions on the year. 2nd down and 10. Pressure comes, pass is low, and the heat was coming on Nixon. Sean Walker, the intended target, but Jarvis Moss was right in the face of Nixon.
Boy, the design of what they're doing offensively is really good, Dave. Ted Kane, offensive coordinator for Vanderbilt, has put a nice game plan together against this great Gator defense. And Nixon's got people open. He's just got to set his feet and let it go and know that he's going to take some shots as he lets the ball go. That time he had Walker open underneath.
Vanderbilt 1 out of 5 on 3rd down conversions this afternoon. They're 8th in the league overall this season in 3rd down conversions. Number off the case of Jackson Garrison, and he is going nowhere. Brian Smith read it and made the stop, his 4th tackle of the game.
Well, it's really a tough team to screen against. You have to set up the screen. You see Garrison, or Jackson Garrison, reach to the outside, and the speed of the Gator defense just won't allow you to do a slow developing play. They get to the football too quickly.
And this punt is blocked. The second of the game by the Gators. Reggie Nelson. There are few players in the country like Reggie Nelson. He seems to be everywhere.
Well, whenever you see the football, you usually see number 1. And here he is on special teams. Comes right through the middle, unblocked. Puts his hands on the football, and the Gators are in great shape. But you said it, Dave. Nelson is one of those kind of guys that just he's around the ball all the time. Another big play. And it shows you how much the Gators think of their special teams. There's your starting safety starting on your punt return unit.
That's his second block of the year for Reggie Nelson. And once again, a short field for the Gators. Lee back in at quarterback. Pressure comes. Passes back to the air. Picked off at the 37-yard line. He'll be tackled at the 39. And a huge break for the Vanderbilt defense. And flags come in late. It is Ray Brown with the interception.
It's a hustle play by Gatewood. Gatewood's going to come off the edge. We've talked about how these guys have gotten after the quarterback. And again, Gatewood creates the opportunity for the interception. A jam down the field made Chris Leak pull the ball down and scramble to the outside. And then the big man comes up with the interception after Gatewood pressures from behind.
For Chris Leak, that's his 8th interception of the year, but you have a hard time faulting him on that. It was just good defense by Vanderbilt. The flag came in late, folks, for a sideline warning. So they will not, I thought perhaps it could have been a celebration, but it was a sideline warning. So no damage done, and the Commodores have it at the 39. Nixon on a rollout. Pump fake, spins. Boy, what an athlete. Nixon still going. He's got some room. And the speed of Brian Smith. He came out of nowhere to make the tackle on Nixon.
Yeah, but how about Nixon's ability to make this happen? It's, again, a nice design. Got the pressure by Harvey. He's going to get in Nixon's face. A nice design. Earl Bennett in the flat. They wanted Earl Bennett. Harvey takes it away. And now it's Nixon trying to create. And Ryan Smith flies up to the corner spot to make the play, but Nixon keeping the play alive after a great athletic play by Harvey at the defensive end spot.
He gained 11, so it's a first down. We approach 5 minutes to go before halftime at a 15-6 Gator lead. Casey Jackson Garrison took a little stutter step and might have missed the hole. Tony Joyner brings him down. Gain of about 5.
That was a zone play, Dave, and he just got back to that backside hole. But again, Florida closes so quickly defensively. Still a nice pickup on first down.
They have got some speed on that defense.
Yeah, what you think is going to be a monster play is a 5 or 6 yard gain.
Second down, and we'll say 4. There's Bennett at the 40. He'll pick up the first down at the 37-yard line. Earl Everett makes his second tackle of the game.
The Vandy offensive line is doing a nice job of those 4 guys up front and giving Chris Nixon an opportunity to get the ball to his playmaker, Earl Bennett. Bennett's in the slot. He sees the zone. He reads it. He hooks up for his quarterback. See how quickly the ball got to him? That's a great read. That's understanding between receiver and quarterback. Nice combination there. Good feel for one another.
4-man front out of the shotgun. Nixon, he's dropped back at the 45. He got the throw. Now they'll say he's down. They will say he's down. The sack will go to Derek Harvey, who continues to impress. That is his 8th sack of the season to lead the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, I just talked about how good this offensive line's done against Florida, but this is just Harvey being physical, getting after him, using his speed up the field, and then he puts his hat in him and pushes him back. Nice job of Harvey closing. Nixon tries to throw it away.
Boy, Derek Harvey, young man, didn't start playing football till his junior year in high school. Was a basketball junkie, just loved the game, but said he finally started to fall out of love with it and wanted to try football, something he always wanted to do. So his high school coach convinced him to do so. The Gators are glad they did. Facing Jackson Garrison, a huge hole down to the 32-yard line. Reggie Nelson with the tackle.
The reason Vanderbilt's able to run the football, Dave, is because they've spread the Florida defense with the passing game, and now you get the running game benefits. They spread out this Florida defense, and now he's up in there for a nice game. Jackson Garrison finds the hole. We've seen Jackson Garrison pop a couple now, and it's because Nixon getting the ball to the outside, stretching the Florida defense.
Jackson Garrison, 516 yards this season, averaging 4 yards a carry. Also has 10 grabs out of the backfield. Three-man rush. And it's intercepted at the 21 by Ryan Smith. He stepped right in front of Earl Bennett. His 6th interception, which leads the SEC, and it's came in as the 6th best interceptor in the country.
Well, we talked about as a young quarterback, you got to live with some of the mistakes, and Nixon had made up his mind right at the snap he was going to throw the ball to Earl Bennett, and Ryan Smith ran the route better than Earl Bennett ran it. Outstanding job of making the play. He had people open on the other side that he'd made up his mind already that Bennett was going to be his guy. And that's why Ryan Smith has done an outstanding job at corner. Now 6 interceptions on the year.
Nixon's 9th interception this season. And the Gators take over at the 21-yard line. Chris Leak in at quarterback. He's hit as he throws. Pass is caught. Andre Caldwell with the grab. This fall, watch for the Geico College Football Campus Tour, a season-long traveling exhibit celebrating the 10 greatest running backs of all time. Go to lfsports.com for more information and to find out when Geico will be visiting a college campus near you. It'll be 2nd down and 1 as we go under 2 minutes here in the first half. Leak to throw over the middle. Pass is caught. That'll be a 1st down. Caldwell again makes the grab. They're on speed.
Nice read by Chris Leak. Again, just taking what they're giving him. Vandy's playing a zone. He's throwing the ball underneath, just moving the chains.
And a hurry-up mode, a 4-receiver set. Leak dancing around. Pass is caught by Caldwell. Coverage by Speed again, and Andre Bubba Caldwell seems to be recovering quite nicely from the broken leg he suffered last year against Tennessee. And Urban Meyer was telling us that just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, something snapped and he got that confidence back, and they are glad to have him. Chris Leak is just blown up by Kevin Joyce. His 3rd sack of the year. Leak never saw.
Well, you can count on it when you start to make plays against the defense. They're going to come after you. And it's a nice job of timing up the blitz by Joyce. You see, he waited long enough to where protection did not account for him. Blitzed through that gap and was able to put a nice hit on the quarterback.
Also 8 yards on the play.
Timeout taken by Florida with 1:25 to go before the half. We'll return after this message from the SEC. Back in Nashville, 15-6. Gators with the advantage, driving with 1:25 to go.
Let's play some football.
Well, coming up in 2 days, right here in Nashville, the 40th Annual CMA Awards airs on ABC starting at 8 o'clock Eastern. They'll be down the street at the Gaylord Entertainment Center. Opening and hosting the awards will be our friends Ronnie Dunn and Kix Brooks, the most awarded duo in CMA Awards history. The pair will perform their hit Building Bridges along with fellow nominees Sheryl Crow and Vince Gill. By the way, Brooks and Dunn, I haven't got the phone call. It said I had a couple tickets for me and my wife.
I thought you were a presenter. I thought you were presenting an award.
I wanted to, but nobody ever called. Leak will throw. Pass is caught by Baker. He's got some running room and then tripped up at the 30-yard line. Broderick Stewart, the defensive end, makes the tackle well downfield inside the 30.
Well, to throw this deep in cut that he gets to Baker, he's got to be willing to eat some helmet, and he does here. Chris Leak holds on this ball a long time, takes a big shot. Joyce gets the shot. Great throw by Leak down the field to Baker.
A gain of 26. Leak. Pass is caught again. This will be another first down. That'll stop the clock. Andre Caldwell with another reception, a gain of 11. That's 6 grabs here in the first half for Bubba Caldwell.
Boy, Chris Leak's doing a nice job of moving in the pocket, buying himself a little bit of time, letting it go.
Florida with 1 timeout left. Vanderbilt will burn a timeout here. With 1:05 to go before intermission. Well, next week is an interesting weekend in SEC football. There are some big-time games, and we don't know where we will be, but it's not going to be bad, I can tell you that. Find out Monday at lfsports.com to see where all the games will be televised, including ours. We'll either be in Georgia at Auburn, South Carolina at Florida, Tennessee at Arkansas. So basically, we can't go wrong. And log on to lfsports.com and click on the Regions Bank Road Trip Planner for the quickest routes and all the information you need traveling around the SEC. CBS decided to take a 6-day option, if you will, and wait to see the outcomes of today's games before they make their selection, and then the trickle-down effect will take place. And that's why go to lfsports.com is your place on Monday to find out where we will be.
Yeah, you're going to be in a great spot no matter which game you get. No question about that.
There's Bruce Fowler, his defense last week as we take a look at the red zone, powered by Honda generators. Last week against Duke, they gave up 3 touchdowns and 5 opportunities to the Blue Devils, but those were late in the game. Vandy built a substantial lead, but 21 points in the 4th quarter allowed, and certainly gave Coach Fowler a little bit of concern. Leak stands in there, lofts it up just over the outstretched hands of Cornelius. Coverage by Joel Caldwell. I really liked, I think Chris Leak has done a nice job. I've liked the way he's run this offense this afternoon.
I have too. I think he's done a nice job of buying himself some time in the pocket. He's gotten a lot of people involved, and they've let him throw the ball, Dave. It's been one of these things that they have not asked him to do a lot of running the football. They've asked him to throw it. And I think Deshaun Wynn is a major part of that. They were able to run the ball early. Deshaun Wynn took some of the pressure off the quarterback having to run it, and he's been able to distribute the ball throwing it.
How about this? Mississippi State on top of Alabama, 24-10, closing in on halftime over in Tuscaloosa. Lee over the middle, intercepted by Jonathan Goff. The junior middle linebacker steps right in and snares it out of the air.
Well, it's the instincts of Jonathan Goff reading the quarterback. Jonathan Goff is going to play in the middle, and he's going to read the quarterback's eyes. He wanted to try to get the ball down the middle on the post route, but Goff was reading the quarterback's eyes all the way and just stepped in front. And so often as a quarterback, you lose the underneath coverage. Once you feel like you've got them where they're supposed to be, you throw it, and then linebackers get out of your vision. And Urban Meyer not excited about the fact that his quarterback, and I think you jinxed him, Dave, talked about how good he'd been so far this half.
He's not the first guy I've had that effect on. Nixon with the quarterback keeper. Florida does have a timeout, but I think that they will. Everybody here will be just happy to get to the locker room and regroup, reassess, and figure out what to do in the final 2 quarters of this one.
Well, what a big play by Jonathan Goff to really keep Vanderbilt in this football game. You give up a touchdown to Florida there, and you're playing catch-up all the way. But with the Jonathan Goff play, they're right in the mix as you go to the second half, like they've been all year long, Dave.
And that will do it. Vanderbilt once again putting up a pretty good fight against a very talented opponent in the Florida Gators. Let's check in with Dave Baker.
He's been put in some really tough spots, but boy, they've responded.
They have. We got pretty good pressure. couple times we did not get pressure. We were able to pick up some long third downs on us, but it's just, you know, a game we have to play. You got to get in there and try to put pressure on Chris Leak or he'll kill you.
You got that rhythm going on offense that one drive, but you haven't been able to get it other than that one drive.
Well, we made a mistake on the interception, but we got to do better on the punt team. That's the kill. That's what's killing us right now.
All right, thanks, Bobby. We appreciate it. Bobby Johnson and his Commodore.
Vanderbilt University has invited youth cheerleading squads from across the southeast to campus to participate in Vanderbilt's
SEC football is brought to you by Ruby Tuesday, by GMC, by Gatorade, by BC Headache Powder, by Suzuki, by Q Motor Oil, and by Johnsonville Bronx.
Johnsonville Brats. We got a good one grilling up here in Nashville. The 7th-ranked Florida Gators have not had an easy way about it. They lead the Vanderbilt Commodores by a count of 15-6. It's been Florida's special teams, Vanderbilt's defense. Of course, this is a split weekend of action here on Lincoln Financial Sports. The other game that we've got taking place down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with Mississippi State and Alabama, and it has been a surprising first half. First of all, for the Bulldogs, how about Michael Hennig to Tony Burks on the crossing pattern? But the Crimson Tide come back. Hennig in the second quarter. Look at Jeffrey Duke step in the passing lane, take it all the way back in for the score. But then Sylvester Croom in his return to his alma mater in his hometown. There's Jamario Smith who gets the score. And then how about a little Mississippi State defense? John Parker Wilson picked by Quentin Culberson. And look at the big linebacker go all the way down the far side as he gets the score. About 20 seconds to go in the first half, and it is 24-10. Mississippi State on top of Alabama. Again, a little bit later today, after on most of these stations, after our games, you'll see Tennessee and LSU and what should be another one. Arkansas and South Carolina tonight. Man, what a day of SEC football. Time now for our play of the week. It's brought to you by our friends at Ruby Tuesday. And there's one game that everybody seems to mark on their calendar every year. It never gets old when Georgia battles Florida and Jacksonville. But this year, the Dogs were overmatched by a powerful Gator defense that forced 5 turnovers, including a big fumble that resulted in a touchdown for Big Ray McDonald. Florida's Derek Harvey stripped it away from Craig Lumpkin. McDonald picked it up in for the Gator touchdown, and that's the difference in the 21-14 win. Ruby Tuesday proudly presents the play of the week, and we have certainly seen some nominees for play of the week here today as the Vanderbilt marching band out on the field as the Commodores very much in this one trailing the 7th-ranked Gators by a score of 15-6. And we've got a good one here on a gorgeous early November day here in the mid-south of Tennessee. 7th-ranked Florida Gators on top of the Vanderbilt Commodores by a count of 15-6. Dave Baker welcoming you back into Lincoln Financial's coverage of Southeastern Conference football. Time to take a look now at the Advance Auto Parts drive to the SEC Championship standings. You know, those guys at Advance don't ever sleep. They've got a store here that's open 24 hours. I saw about 5 this morning. And the Gators are trying not to sleepwalk this afternoon. They've got that 2-game lead in the East, but Vanderbilt not making things easy. Tennessee, of course, with a big one later against LSU. And over in the West, the Arkansas Razorbacks continue to be the story of this conference season, unbeaten in the league. Auburn with that one conference loss, but that was to the Arkansas Razorbacks, so they will need some help. And coming up next Saturday, we're not sure where we'll be, but we do know we're going to have a great game. We'll either be in Gainesville for South Carolina and Florida, on the Plains for Georgia and Auburn, or in Fayetteville for Tennessee and Arkansas. How about that for a lineup? Check your local listings or go to lfsports.com on Monday to see which game we'll be airing. And don't forget, SEC Football Today kicks off our day's coverage a half hour before the game. Coming up next week, we'll take you around the league to set up a big weekend as we get closer to the SEC Championship. We'll check in with Florida quarterback Chris Leak, who's finishing up a fabulous career with the Gators. He's just been an incredible young man on and off the field. And we'll tell you about Auburn linebacker Karibi Dede, who does some schooling out on the field, but also does some teaching of a different kind in the classroom. Cooper Tire's SEC Football Today at 11 o'clock Central, noon Eastern, followed by South Carolina and Florida. Georgia and Auburn, or Tennessee and Arkansas on your Lincoln Financial Network station. You know, the CMA Awards, the Country Music Association Awards, are Monday night. Vince Gill will be there, and he always says, wherever you go, there you are. And that's the way it'll be for us next week. The band's playing here today, no country twang, but they're playing a sweet tune, as are their Commodores, who trail by 9. Back after this word from your local Lincoln Financial Sports Station.
Crystal presents the Sack of the Week. After Florida went up 21-0 over the Georgia Bulldogs in the third quarter, the game was looking like a blowout. But the Dogs kept fighting and roared back with 14 unanswered points. Florida head coach Urban Meyer once again looked for his defense to make a play, and got one, when linebacker Brandon Seiler sacked Georgia's Matthew Stafford for a loss of 6 yards on the Bulldogs' final drive. Crystal presents Florida's Brandon Seiler with a Sack of the Week.
Let's play some football.
Oh, Brooks and Dunn are going to be opening the CMA Awards on Monday night with a little help from their friends, Sheryl Crow and Vince Gill. Bobby Johnson getting a little help from his friends as well. Dallas Baker had one miscue, but he ain't going to drop many. He's had a lot of hits. Oh, and speaking of hits, there have been a lot on this field as well. Great game here so far as Florida leads Vanderbilt by a count of 15-6. Time to go back upstairs to the guys who'll bring you home in the second half, Dave Neal and Dave Archer. Guys, it's been a situation in the first half. Both teams have made some big plays. Both teams have had trouble capitalizing on those big plays.
Yeah, Buzz, Dave and I were just talking here a minute ago that Florida's probably kicking themselves. They've had a short field all afternoon, but yet they only lead this thing 15-6.
Yeah, I think you got to credit the Vanderbilt defense. They've come up with some plays when they needed to, and really it's been Florida's special teams unit. A couple of block punts that have led to touchdowns, but Vanderbilt's defense has kept them in the game.
Yeah, we've talked about this Vanderbilt defense finally getting some speed to compete in the SEC, and they're doing it. Here's some first half highlights.
Well, the block punts, we talked about it. Ryan Smith gets the first block punt early in the game, and you think that, hey, this is what Florida needed to get off to a good start. Lee gets in on the quarterback draw for a touchdown, but then they get the two-point conversion. Another special teams play. They get the ball to Tate, get the two-point conversion. It's all of a sudden it's 8-0, but Chris Nixon group comes back.
And that's exactly what Vanderbilt did. They marched it down the field behind some nice passes from Nixon, but it would be Kason Jackson Garrison who would take it in for the touchdown. That made it 8-6, a two-point conversion went awry, but then the Gators came right back. Dallas Baker wide open in the corner of the end zone, and the Gators would make the extra point, and they led at that point 15-6. But down the stretch, a couple of interceptions by Chris Leak really helped the Vanderbilt Commodores avoid what could have been a substantial deficit here in the first half.
Yeah, Vanderbilt defense that got backed up. You talked about the field position situation, but Vandy's defense came up with 2 late interceptions.
As we look at the first half statistics, pretty even despite the fact that Florida had that short field. They just couldn't do much with it in terms of getting some points on the board.
Yeah, and I think the 14 yards rushing is not what Urban Meyer wants from this Florida offense. They want to run the football. They have not been able to do that. Again, credit Vandy's defense, coming up with the turnovers and taking away the run.
Yeah, a couple of sacks and a bad pitch have resulted in those 14 yards of rushing for the Florida Gators. Take a look at revisit our Toyota keys to the game, and these are a couple of things that you said might transpire today and make explosive plays. Florida's only had a couple, but the don't help the Gators thing is Vanderbilt hasn't done a very good job of that.
No, they have not. The 2 block punts, and I think you probably add those to Florida making explosive plays. The 2 block punts really have led to their 15 points in the game.
Well, regardless, we have got 2 more quarters of football to go from right here at Vanderbilt Stadium in Nashville, where we have got a really, really good second half in store for you. Vanderbilt and Florida went into double overtime last year, and the Gators survived with a 2-point win, 49-47. What's in store in the final 2 quarters? We'll find out. Stay with us right here on Lincoln Financial Sports.
SEC football is being brought to you by Advance Auto Parts, by Pizza Hut, by Toyota, by Bell South, by Sonic Drive-In, and by Aaron Sales and Lease Ownership.
Beautiful day here in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's head down and check in with Dave Baker. Had a chance to speak with Urban Meyer. Buzz?
Hey, Dave. Yeah, we had a chance to talk with the Florida head coach a little bit ago. He was frustrated about the fact they'd been playing on that short field and only got the 15 points, and that's because of the 2 turnovers. But he said in an SEC game like that, you expect something like that to happen. Dave Archer, the one thing I wonder about is people have been able to catch up to Florida a little bit in the second half because they've gotten used to the tempo. As little as we saw Tim Tebow in the first half, do the Gators maybe bring him in as they get the ball to start the second half and maybe change that tempo up a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Buzz. I think we will see Tebow a little bit more in the second half and try to get the run game cranked up. We talked about them only having 14 yards rushing at the half.
Ryan Honfeld to kick it away for Vanderbilt. It'll sail down to the 3-yard line. Taken there by Brandon James, who has hit at the 21, and that's where the Gators will start their first offensive possession of the second half. And Chris Leak looks to be the quarterback to lead the team out onto the field, the senior. In the first half, Chris Leak throwing the football was 11 out of 16, 145 yards, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Tebow 1 out of 1 for 5 yards in his short stint. You know, Urban Meyer told us it's just a feel thing with him. There is no set plan in terms of Tim Tebow getting in there. 4-man front. In motion goes Caldwell. Handoff left side to Sean Wynn. Wynn has a big hole. He's to the 33-yard line, but a flag comes in back at the 25 in front of the Gator bench. Ryan Hamilton had to be the man to run over there and try to slow down the 240-pound tailback.
Holding, number 70, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That's the freshman Ronnie Wilson who got the start today over Jim Tard, who's a little banged up.
Just got a little misdirection play to Deshaun Wynn. Little delay in the backfield, but Wilson got hold of a black jersey, and it'll go back 10 yards.
It's a spot foul, so it's not as bad as it could have been.
And this is part of what's causing Urban Meyer more heartburn than anything else, is the fact that they get an explosion play or something, a big run, and then it's called back because of penalty.
It's the 3rd penalty of the day for Florida. Here's Caldwell. We'll take it around the corner, get back to the original line of scrimmage. Maybe a yard or 2 more out to the 22-yard line. Josh Allen makes the tackle for the Commodores.
Something we haven't seen a lot of is the wide receivers getting involved with the running game. Caldwell, good block there by Deshaun Wynn to get out in front of Caldwell on the run. I think the reason we haven't seen as much on the edge is because of the way Gatewood and Booker have played for Vanderbilt.
Deshaun Wynn on the afternoon, rushing the football, 8 carries, 28 yards. Leak tries to Caldwell, makes a man miss. Caldwell to the 30. He might be very close to that first down. We'll see where the spot is. The spot looks like he might have picked it up. Jonathan Goff makes the stop, but I think that's good enough for a first down. Mark Curls will stop the clock, and he will want to see the chains.
It's an opportunity for Langford to make a tackle short of the first down, but credit Florida for making the play. Leak gets the ball out quickly, and now it's about making people miss. Caldwell does a good job of making Langford miss. He doesn't miss many. 3rd on this team in tackles, leads all defensive backs for this team.
We heard Bobby Johnson and Bruce Fowler, the defensive coordinator at Vanderbilt, talk about Florida's movement, how they just spread it out. Guys are moving everywhere. Formations are different, but they basically run in the same kind of plays, but they try to fool you with motion. Have you sensed that Vanderbilt has adapted to that and played that pretty well?
Well, what Vandy's doing is they're not playing a lot of man coverage, so they're just sorting it out with their zone. They'll let Florida do all the window dressing they want to do, and that's what it is. But ultimately, they're just going to settle into where they're supposed to play defensively and make the plays.
There is Bruce Fowler.
I think if you get a team that plays a lot of man coverage, Dave, and wants to come after you with a lot of blitz, that mixed direction and a change of formation can really get you screwed up in your defensive calls.
You saw those 2 scores, Mississippi State leading Alabama at the half 24-10, and Georgia and Kentucky approaching halftime It's 14-10 Bulldogs over the Wildcats. So interesting games in the SEC this afternoon. This included. Leak over the middle. Dallas Baker with the catch. And his knee will hit the ground at the 47-yard line. That'll be a first down. Josh Allen will make the tackle. A gain of 16 on the play, but a nice throw and catch.
Well, again, it's the play-action fake that's going to freeze the linebackers. Goff steps up, Joyce steps up, so there's nobody underneath. The short post route by Baker. Just an easy throw for Leak to get the ball to Baker because there's nobody to throw the ball over or between. Both Joyce and Goff step up to stop the run.
I mean, if the quarterback is on with that throw, there's really nothing a defender can do about it. Right?
No, he's hoping on underneath coverage to sink and get a hand on the ball.
Here comes the blitz. The Gators pick it up. Leak fires to the inside. Baker again. In the first half, it was Caldwell making all the catches, and now Dallas Baker's starting to catch him. Those two have made a ton of catches this season. They came in with 68 receptions between the two of them.
And it's about protection, Dave. You got to execute the throw. You got to protect. And nice job of Deshaun Wynn that time sliding over and picking up a blitzing Joyce coming off the edge. Kevin Joyce, who's had some success coming from his linebacker spot, picked up that time by the running back.
Dallas Baker, by the way, now 6 catches, 106 yards already. Caldwell 7 for 65. Here's Wynn. He's tripped up by Chris Booker, the senior out of Brandon, Mississippi.
Well, I don't think you could say enough about Booker and Gatewood and their ability to play outside. Outstanding job of playing off the block and getting to Deshaun Wynn before he could really get started. Only 3 seniors on this defense, Dave. Well, they play with a lot of confidence. You talked about that earlier.
Third down and short. Tim Tebow comes off the bench to run the offense. He'll line up in the shotgun. He'll work off the right side and is stuffed. Jonathan Goff says, no way, not here, not on my watch. Whoa, what a collision. Those are a couple of big boys going nose to nose.
Now Goff steps up and makes the tackle, but you're going to have to credit Joyce and Booker eating up the blocks on that side to allow Goff to scrape and make the play. Booker knifes to the inside, as does Joyce, takes away the blocking scheme, and then Goff eats up Tebow on the run.
Well, on a 4th down and 3, Chris Leak comes back into the game, and the Gators will go for it. And why not? They're in kind of no man's land at the 46. And whistles blow. There's 2 seconds on the play clock. And a timeout taken by Florida right before the snap.
Yeah, you got a late Urban Meyer timeout.
Timeout, Florida. First charge time.
So 4th down and short coming up. We'll take a break as well. Back to Nashville in a moment. SEC football is brought to you in part by Toyota. And Florida decides after the timeout that they will punt it away. Do you think it's a good decision?
I think it's a good decision. Too early in the game to go here. You don't want to, from Florida's perspective, you don't want to give Vanderbilt a breath of life.
And flags come down again. And a good thing, because it was a shank punt into the stands.
Before the snap, false start. Number 19, offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
So that'll just back him up right to midfield, giving Eric Wilbur a little bit more of an opportunity. Wilbur's had 1 punt block this season. Of course, that came against Auburn in a crucial situation that the Tigers recovered for a touchdown. Another wobbly low kick, hits at the 20, fielded by Washington, and probably a good thing. That looked like it might have hit a Commodore in the foot.
Well, that's a nice play there by Washington. Couldn't tell if it hit a player, but he wasn't taking any any chances. Nice play.
Well, the Gators defensively, specifically on the ground, have been just monsters all the way around. You see what they have done in SEC games this year. They held Tennessee to minus 11 yards. It's the 7th lowest allowed by a Florida defense in their history. The only team to really catch them was Auburn with a $133 on the ground, and then they held Georgia last week to 64. You know, 49 yards on the ground today by this Vanderbilt offense. And, you know, it's the front 7. We keep hearing it. The front 7, this and that. I'd like to get your impressions after this play. Nixon. Pass is caught. Out over the 30 to Marlon White. What makes this floor? Is it just as simple as team speed?
Well, that's a major part of it, Dave. When you can run, you got athletes as big as Florida does that can run to the football. They pursue so well, and they read things. They're instinctual players. But I think their front 4 is so athletic that they eat up the 5 offensive linemen and extra back to block. And now Seiler and Everett are able to make plays. They're just heat-seeking missiles that go to the ball.
One of the defensive linemen not here today, Marcus Thomas, didn't travel with the team as Jared Hawkins has some room. Hawkins to midfield. He's their big play man on the ground, and he comes up huge again. Hawkins, the redshirt freshman, averaging almost 8 yards a carry this year, and that number will go up.
Well, it's taking advantage of the athleticism. We talked about how these ends like to get upfield and get after you. Good job of getting Hawkins back to the inside on the run play. And Florida has to rally to save a touchdown.
Okay, I might have jinxed Chris Leak earlier, but you just jinxed their defense.
I did, okay.
Front 7. That one goes on you. 10-16 to go in the 3rd quarter, and Vanderbilt just outside the 30-yard line. Nixon, little quarterback draw, swallowed up. Jarvis Moss, and Nixon never had a chance.
Yeah, Jarvis Moss doesn't stay jinxed for very long. Comes off the edge. This was a design quarterback draw. You had no throw option. Just an athletic play on the edge. But to your right side of the screen, he's just going to bull rush through. And not a good job of taking the defensive end up the field. What you want to do there at a tackle is try to run him up the field, give Nixon that running room to the inside.
Just to follow up that story about Marcus Thomas, did not travel with the team. Word is from the Gator staff is that they will address that situation after this contest. So we don't know the reason he's not with the club right now, officially. George Smith knocked out of bounds at the 30-yard line, closer to the 31.
It's a nice quick decision by Chris Nixon to get the ball to the outside, and this replaces a run, a quick throw to the outside.
Today's First and 10 line is brought to you by Titan Technology Partners. Go to s2v.com to learn more about how Titan makes IT right. Third and 8. Earl Bennett, number 10, is in the slot to the top of your screen. Nixon looking for Washington. Is it picked off? No. Could have been intercepted by Tony Joyner. Instead, it'll bring up a 4th down situation. And here comes Brian Honfeld, the sophomore from right here in Nashville.
Late throw over the middle by Nixon. Can't make this mistake. There's too many defenders in the middle of the field. He wanted Bennett. Bennett was lined up in the slot. This is just an airmail throw to Walker, but Bennett was lined up in the slot. Ryan Smith, another outstanding job, one-on-one coverage against Bennett.
With the wind at his back, it's somewhat swirling, but right now it's kind of at his back for Brian Honfeld, who will kick from 47. It is on the way. And it is wide to the left. So Honfeld now on the year, 8 out of 15. And the Gators will get the football when we come back. 9:12 to go in the 3rd quarter from right here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's our all-tell game of the week from Nashville, Tennessee. A gorgeous day, a little cool, but everybody having a good time as SEC football hits the final month of the regular season. The SEC championship game December 2nd in Atlanta, Georgia. Who will get there? Well, Florida certainly the destiny in their hands. In Arkansas, the same can be said for them out of the West. Link, the throw on the run. Dallas Dallas Baker wide open inside Vanderbilt territory, down to the 41-yard line. Goff finally makes the tackle, but Dallas Baker having a huge day. 7 catches now for 135 yards.
Florida comes out in a conventional set this time with 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 backs, and they fake the counter play and run the bootleg, and Baker runs a little wheel route out to the out and then up the sideline. Now standing job of Leak getting him the football.
Let's check in with Dave Baker.
You know, Dallas Baker, you know how he gets that hand-eye coordination. It's all that Nintendo he plays. Remember we did the story?
Yes, that's right.
He plays himself all the time, and Dallas Baker wore out Dave Baker.
Leak going up top, looking for 6. Incomplete, and flags come in. Rashard Langford was down there covering, and yes, he made some contact before the ball got there.
Well, it's all, again, about play action fake here. Leak does a good job of the play action.
Pass interference, number 33, defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
You get an aggressive safety like Langford, you try to get him to bite up on run. Good play action fake. He just stuttered his feet just a count, and that's all it took for Caldwell to get in behind, and now he's in a bad position just trying to prevent the touchdown, almost willing to give up the penalty to make sure that they don't score the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, second look, probably not a bad penalty to take. It only moves it to the 26-yard line. Baker in motion. Deshaun Wynn off the right side, breaks a couple of tackles down to the 5-yard line. Goff finally brings him down. It'll be first and goal for the Gators. A run of 22 yards on the play.
Well, something Florida has not been able to do is get the edge block consistently, and this time they do. Bottom of your screen, Booker knife back to the inside, a broken tackle there, and a good job. Watch Windrup, he runs through the tackle there, and Goff has to come over to save the touchdown. But they did a good job of getting the edge block and getting Deshaun Wynn down the sideline.
Chris Lee keeps it himself. Touchdown, Florida. His second rushing touchdown of the afternoon. He went in untouched.
Well, it's about Florida spreading you out, and when you get close to the goal line, all Chris Leak is looking for is, do I have enough hats to get on their bodies? And as you can see, there's not enough people in the middle, only 4 defenders, 5 people to block 4. And Chris Leak was able to sort it out. A little fake of the pass, but it was run all the way.
Point after is up, and it is good. So Urban Meyer's club strikes first here in the second half. Their lead now 22-6, 8:12 to go here in the third. Chris Leak with another touchdown. Back after a word from your local stations. Gorgeous day here in Nashville. Florida leading 22-6, 8:12 to go in the third quarter. The Gators ranked 7th in the country, 4th in the BCS standings, trying to keep pace with the elite. Of course, West Virginia was number 3 in the BCS standings. They lose on Thursday night. Louisville, however, right on the heels of Florida. It'll be interesting to see if Florida can hold on here, and will Louisville jump Florida in the BCS standings? A lot to talk about and think about as we approach the final month of the football season. Josh Allen will take this kickoff and get lit up right at the 24-yard line. Everybody gets up. Well, coming up next Saturday, we're not really sure where we will be, but we do know that wherever we go, we're going to have a great time, because we'll either be in Gainesville for South Carolina and Florida, on the Plains for Georgia and Auburn, or maybe in Fayetteville for Tennessee and Arkansas. Check your local listings or go to lfsports.com on Monday to see which game will be airing next Saturday. Log on to lfsports.com and click on the Regions Bank Road Trip Planner for the quickest routes and all the information you need traveling around the SEC. Nixon looking for the fly pattern. Looking for Earl Bennett. Coverage over there by Ryan Smith. And you've mentioned it a couple of times. Bennett's had a couple of grabs, but Ryan Smith has done a good job on him today.
Boy, he's been all over him. It's been a nice matchup. Two great athletes going one-on-one. Ryan Smith, 5 tackles today. He's blocked the punt. He has an interception. He's knocked the ball down. So he's had his hands full, though. Earl Bennett's a heck of a player. That time, just the quarterback and the receiver not sure where one another is going to be, and that's why that ball was overthrown.
Bennett this time makes the catch at the 30. Ball's forward to the 31.5-yard line, and it's Ryan Smith on the coverage. Now, if you're Florida, do you mind Earl Bennett picking up those, catching that ball 5 yards from the line of scrimmage?
No, because especially in that coverage, if it'd been man coverage, you don't want him to complete it all. But in zone coverage, that's what they want. They tackle it for a 5-yard gain, and this is where Vanderbilt has struggled to finish football games, is they have had a tough time converting on 3rd down in the second half.
They're looking at a 3rd down, and we'll call it 4. Nixon pointing out some options he has offensively. Stands in there all day. And Washington was hit over the middle. No flag. I'm a little shocked at that. Tony Joyner on the coverage. It looked as though that might have been a little early. Hard to tell, though.
Well, the ball was thrown high. Nixon wanted to go down the field to Bennett. Again, he was covered by Ryan Smith. And then Joyner got in right as the ball got there. I think because the ball was so high, they're probably not going to give it. If the ball had been down, he might have had an opportunity to draw a flag there.
Punts it away. A knuckleball coming the way of Brandon James, and he has trouble fielding it. And he falls back at the 24. I knew that was going to be tough. That came out of there like a Phil Negro knuckleball. Well, Chris Leak today on the afternoon has had a pretty good day with a couple of rushing touchdowns, and he has completed 15 out of 20 passes.
Well, Chris has done an outstanding job when he's had a chance to carry the ball there, but he really wants to buy himself some time. He's only run the ball a few times. He's done a good job of buying himself some time here on the bootleg, getting the ball to Dallas Baker. Baker's been outstanding. But he's had 2 quarterback draws for touchdowns, and really, it's been what he's done throwing the ball, Dave. He's done a good job of finding the zones and the man coverage matchups.
See those numbers, 15 out of 22 for Leak. This pass caught on the far side, not much happening. Tried to set up a little one-man screen out there, but Kenneth Tooks makes the catch. Gets about 5.5 on the play.
This Florida offense, it seems like everything goes off of a play-action fake, and they do an outstanding job of spreading you with the receivers, but they lock 6 or 7 defenders to the inside to stop the run, and then they're able to throw the ball to the outside and get those one-on-one matchups.
We haven't seen a whole lot of Percy Harvin, the true freshman speedster today. That bad ankle must be bothering him. Pass is caught at the 40-yard line, and then Jamel Cornelius will fall forward out over the 45 to the 47. Rashard Langford finally brings him down, and Cornelius slow to get up. That's a 19-yard pickup for the Gators offense.
Well, you really start to feel the flow of the game starting to go Florida's way. The play calling has been outstanding the last 2 series of downs, and they're spreading the football around, getting a lot of people involved, and it almost feels as though Vandy's defense starting to get worn down a little bit.
15 first downs in the game now for Florida.
The number 47, Jonathan
Let's go, and then Chris Leak.
Whoa. Whenever you make some plays on a defense, expect them to come after you. And when you've got a guy like Jonathan Goff, 6'4", 240-pound linebacker, he's going to be a major part of the mix when they get after you. Nice job of blitzing straight through the middle, beats the fullback block, and gets the sack.
Goff 8 tackles, an interception, and a sack today. As a team, Vandy has 3 sacks this afternoon. Florida had given up just 13 sacks all season coming into this one, 4th best in the SEC. Leak This time it's Marcus Buggs. Strong side linebacker picks up the sack. His second of the year.
Well, Vanderbilt couldn't talk enough about their three linebackers. Joyce, Buggs, Goff, and they have all showed up to play today. This time Buggs rushing, gets in and makes the tackle on Leak, but it's been about those three guys flowing behind two active defensive ends. It's allowed Vandy to be a major factor in this game.
It's now third down at 19. Four-man rush. Leak being chased out of the pocket by Gatewood. He'll throw it out of bounds. Boy, Vandy, a nice job defensively on that possession, getting after the quarterback.
Now, coming into this game, you knew that this Vanderbilt defense had kept Vandy in a lot of games. They've been in every football game they played, and they've done an outstanding job again today against a very good Florida offense.
Well, this Bruce Fowler defense giving up just over 20 points a game, which is the best points per game average since the '97 team. This punt, low line drive, but he gets a great gator bounce again. Wilbur, I'm not going to question, they may not look good, but I'm going to stop questioning those punts because they seem to always be effective for Eric Wilbur. A 45-yard kick for number 10. Well, during the first half, we asked this all-tell text-to-win trivia challenge question: who holds the Florida record for lowest career interception percentage? Well, it's Chris Leak, but that number is slipping a little bit with a couple of INTs today. But nonetheless, Chris Leak leads that group we gave you. Rex Grossman, Danny Werfel. Boy, Rex Grossman, he's having a heck of a year in Chicago.
Those are impressive names and impressive numbers because all those guys played the majority of their careers.
Here's Nixon. He'll stand in the pocket. He has been behind his receivers over that middle quite a bit today. Brian Anderson out of Roswell, Georgia, the intended target. How about Ball State giving Michigan a little run? We look at our NCAA scores, and Maryland on top of Clemson in the fourth. Well, I could not figure out the ACC and FSU. I mean, no way do I think FSU is going to beat Virginia by 33. Mississippi State, Alabama just put a field goal on the board, and Kentucky still in it up in Lexington. Pass is caught at the 21-yard line. That goes to Marlon White. And then when you're looking now, 3:15 to go in this game roughly in the third quarter, what does Vandy need to start doing?
Well, I like what they're doing, Dave. They're throwing the short passing game, but when you throw short passes, you have to convert on third down. Another third down situation here, and it's really been their Achilles heel throughout the year. When they've lost football games, it's been their inability to move the chains in the second half.
They're looking at a third down and 6. Gators will pack the box on this one. Will fall off. Nixon tries to run for it. No chance. No chance. The Gators front four does the job again. Moss with the tackle, his 5th.
Again, in working a two-man game with his receivers to the left side. Bennett was part of that mix to his left side. Bennett's just going to hook up, and he's there. But Nixon thinks he sees a hole, and we talked about how quickly this group closes on the football in the front four. It looks like there's a hole, but there's not one.
Well, Gators have blocked 2 punts already. This time, not a heavy rush, and Upson able to get away. A good high kick. James fields it at the 30. Looking for some room. He's got a little bit. Here's James. He's to the 40 and down to the 37-yard line. DJ Moore finally brings him down.
And the biggest sign for Urban Meyer is there are no flags on the field. Brandon James has had 2 punt returns for touchdowns brought back. He had a big return last week against Georgia, brought back because of penalty. No laundry on the field this time.
James just 5'7", 180 pounds.
I think he's a guy that, as his career goes along, Urban Meyer's going to find a way to get him in the offenses too, Dave.
Tim Tebow will probably be looking for him quite a bit over the next few years as Mr. Tebow comes back on the field. First and 10 Gators. Another short field for Florida from the 36 of Vanderbilt. Tebow to throw. Lofts it up. Out of bounds. Incomplete. It'll bring up second down and 10. Coming into this game, Tebow just 10 out of 14 through the air. But rushing the football, he is second on this team in rushing yardage. And you see where he stacks up against top 25 teams against other quarterbacks in the country. His 4.3 average is better than Bernard Jackson, who we saw against Georgia, had a heck of a game. And then there's Chris Nixon at 3.2. But Tebow, the best against top 25 competition.
Well, he's really been their answer as far as a power running game goes.
Well, when you're 6'3", 230, you add a little bit of power. Tebow, he's got some room in the corner. Run out of bounds at the 11-yard line by Joel Caldwell.
Oh, we talked about with Tebow is the fact that he is a tremendous athlete, not just power, not just big. He has the ability to run now, and he makes people miss. Boy, get ready, SEC. This is something you're going to see a lot of over the next couple of years.
Tebow in high school ran for 3,100 yards and 63 touchdowns. He threw for nearly 10,000 yards and 95 touchdown passes. Inside handoff going nowhere. Those numbers, 95 touchdown passes, 63 rushing touchdowns in his high school career. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Take a look at the red zone powered by Honda generators for the ultimate tailgating experience. So on the year this season, the Vanderbilt defense has done a nice job in terms of stopping teams getting touchdowns. 13 TDs and 32 chances.
That's outstanding. That's what you want. A defense that can rise up and make plays in the red zone.
Big stop by Stephen Stone came in to bring down Tebow.
I really think as Tebow learns to play quarterback in this league, he's going to find that he's going to need to get on the ground a little bit more. And I think Urban Meyer is going to have to be guarded about how much he's willing to run his big quarterback up in the line, because you line up every week and line up against these defenses in the SEC, you're going to take some punishment.
Third down and 11. Tebow to the end zone. Knocked away at the last moment by Josh Allen. Looking for Dallas Baker. That'll bring up a fourth down situation.
That's a nice play by Josh Allen, one-on-one. Only 5'9", working against Baker at 6'3". It's a good throw by Tebow. Put your big receiver up to bat, and Allen does a good job. Look at him look back. Watch him get the hand on the ball. Yeah. Baker never gives up on it, though. He almost made the catch on the back end.
Field goals have been a major issue for the Gators. This year, Chris Hetland from 29 yards gets it to go down, and the crowd, the Gator fans, erupt. Hetland won the battle to retain his job after a 1-for-7 start. He was 0-for-6 from 30 yards and beyond. That'll stay the same, but the 29-yarder goes through the uprights.
There's no truth rumor. You checked on your eligibility to see if you could walk on in Florida and kick. Is there?
Well, he said there was an open tryout, but Hetland held on to the job over the week. And speaking of kicks, here's a chance I might do since my eligibility ran up, or maybe my athletic ability is up. Do you think you have what it takes to kick a field goal for $1 million? Yeah, why not? Bell South is giving one lucky contestant the chance to make a field goal at halftime of the 2006 Chick-fil-A Bowl to win up to $1 million. To register and for complete contest details, log on to BellSouthSports.com. Bell South, listening, answering. Well, we told you about Marcus Thomas not really making the trip here to Florida with the club. And for more on that, let's go down and check in with Dave Baker.
Yeah, Dave, it looks like a troubled Florida career for Marcus Thomas is over. He was suspended for the first game this season. He came back for Tennessee. Then he was suspended for 2 other games. We found out shortly after kickoff today that he did not make the trip to Gainesville. We've just been handed a statement from Coach Urban Meyer that says, quote, Marcus did not meet his responsibilities and obligations to remain on the team, end quote. A short 1-sentence statement from Coach Urban Meyer that indicates Marcus Thomas is off of the Florida football team.
I think Urban Meyer has given Marcus Thomas ample opportunity to be a member of this club. I don't know the situation, but certainly Urban Meyer is a guy that has a set of rules, and if you break them, you're going to pay the consequences. Alex Washington to the 25, and he's hog-tied there. 25-6, Florida out in front. This could be the last play of the first quarter. As soon as they set the ball ready for play, the clock will start with 7 seconds left. And the Gators led 15-6 at the break. They've put 10 points up on the board here in the third quarter. The Gators ranked number 7 in America, 4th in the BCS.
26-yard line.
And that will do it for the third quarter. We will head to the final 15 minutes here in Nashville, Tennessee. Florida trying to keep the dream alive of an SEC and national championship. But they've got 15 more minutes to hold off this pesky Commodore club. We are back in Nashville. The Commodores trying to hang in there. That should be 25-6. The Gators in front. Vandy looking at first down and 10 from the 26-yard line. Swing out to the near side. Gain of a couple on the play. Alex Washington with the reception. Today there's been some Vanderbilt miscues along the way that have certainly helped this Gator club.
Well, that's what we talked about, Dave, was Florida's talented enough making plays on their own. You don't need to help them out, and it's been the 2 block punts, missed a field goal. The Ryan Smith interception really has allowed Florida to come out of this thing right now with a 25-6 lead.
And Nixon has been held in check this afternoon pretty nicely by the Gators, and that's a reason why they just got too much speed.
Well, you got to be impressed with their team speed, Dave. We talked about it all day long, but when you start talking about individual players, Ryan Smith has been unbelievable today. His ability to cover Earl Bennett, and then his ability to play within the concept. He forced that play there so some other Gators could come up and make the tackle. What an outstanding find or transfer, however you want to go. He played for Urban Meyer at Utah, so obviously Urban knew who he was.
Had fallen kind of out of favor, didn't start at Utah, and did what he could and made his way to Gainesville right before the season started. And what an addition to this club. Has an interception today. 3rd and 10. Nixon stands in there, hit, pass is caught. That'll be a first down. Marlon White, the senior out of Macon, Georgia, hit by Earl Everett, but I thought Nixon did a nice job just buying time. Boy, he hung on to the football long enough.
Well, and you got to credit the offensive line. The offensive line for Vanderbilt holds off these athletes we've been talking about for Florida and gives him just enough time to find the throw over the middle. That's all offensive line. Chris Nixon just floating up in the pocket. Nice job by the Vandy offensive line.
Big first down for Vanderbilt. Whistles, timeout taken by the Commodores. That'll be their first of the second half.
Out.
And we'll take the timeout with Bobby Johnson. You know, the Gators, since 1990, when they hold their opponents to less than 21 points, are 131-4. Vandy needs to put some points on the board in a hurry here. That pass falls incomplete, looking for Earl Bennett. Take a look at our third quarter stats, and Vanderbilt winning the rushing game only because their defense has caused some sacks, but passing 239 for the Gators. and time of possession is beginning to add up dramatically for the Florida Gators.
Well, we talked about Vandy's inability to convert on third down, and that's really why Florida owned the third quarter.
Nixon now 17 out of 30 for 161 yards through the air. Does have an interception. Hit as he lets it go, and that'll be a flag, a blow to the head. Tremaine McCollum came in off the corner and got Nixon right in the chops.
Rubbing the passer, number 28, defense. Face-to-face with the quarterback. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
Well, I apologize to Tremaine McCollum.
Well, this is not something you can teach a quarterback, and this is why Chris Nixon is a special player. He knows he's going to take a shot. He stands in there and waits for his receiver to uncover, and he knows he's going to take the hit. Now, McCollum obviously want to stay away from the head area, and that would have been a clean hit, but I love the way Chris Nixon is learning to play quarterback in this league.
Yeah, he's paying a price, though. Inside handoff, Jackson Garrison only gets a couple. Jarvis Moss with 6 tackles today. For more on Chris Nixon, let's check in with Dave Baker. Buzz.
Yeah, Dave, obviously an incredible talent, but I'm interested in hearing from your partner upstairs. Bobby Johnson told us on the conference call the other day he wasn't really concerned about Nixon's inconsistency, but Dave Archer, he just continues to throw off that back foot. Now, obviously, during his career here before he became the starter, he had a chance to see Jay Cutler do a lot of that, but you can't do that for long, I don't think, can you?
No, that's a good point. You're not going to make a living, especially against the athletes Florida has, if you hang the ball or late with the ball off your back foot.
Florida on a jump, free play for the Commodores. Pass is dropped and flags come in on that end. Earl Bennett, the intended receiver, covered by Earl Everett. Moss looked like he jumped from his defensive end position.
And getting back real quickly to what Dave Baker was talking about in the inconsistencies of the quarterback, that's something that Nixon will begin to learn, the footwork thing. That's all a part of learning the techniques and what you need to do from a quarterback position. I just like his courage in the way he plays.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offsides, number 94, defense. That penalty is declined. Pass interference on the defense. That penalty is first down at the spot of the foul.
We've talked about the matchup with Ryan Smith and Earl Bennett, and again, this is the same situation. Good block there in front of the quarterback, but it looked like Ryan Smith arrived just before the ball got there, got on the back of Earl Bennett. The officials looking to see if Bennett's body changes its angle at all. Looked like he caught that inside shoulder and moved him a little bit.
You know, Vanderbilt hasn't looked pretty on this drive, but they have certainly moved it. As the handoff for the snap goes right to Jackson Garrison off the left side. He's down to the 10-yard line. A play they ran earlier had a little bit of success. They moved Nixon to a wide receiver, and Jackson Garrison does the rest.
Well, what happens is they get the edge blocked, and he's allowed to skate to the outside. Nobody there at home, and whenever you can get on the edge, you're going to make some plays. That's something that Florida doesn't allow to happen very often. They credit Vanderbilt's offense. Reading the play, that's Chris Nixon reading the play off his wristband. He's been signaled a number in, then he reads the number of the play off to the rest of the offense.
See, that's simplicity I could deal with right there.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah. You might have had a longer than, what, 8-year career in the NFL if you'd have had that system. Looking in the end zone. Touchdown, Vanderbilt. George Smith with his second touchdown catch of the season.
But it's the execution of the design of the play, Dave. They run the receiver a little rub play and running down the sideline. Chris Nixon does, again, great protection for Nixon. Gives him a chance to sort it out. But he goes down the sideline and turns it up. George Smith showed the out route. They've been showing that combination all day. He wheeled it to the sideline. Nixon's on the money with the throw.
Nixon's 12th touchdown pass of the year. Vanderbilt will now go for 2. They have failed earlier when they went for 2 on their first touchdown. speed got there. It was a well-designed play, but Ryan Smith just outran the football. Well, the touchdown makes it a 13-point game. The Gators lead it. 11:33 to go.
Dave Baker back here with you on the sidelines of Vanderbilt Stadium. The Commodores get the touchdown. They don't get the two-point conversion, trailing 25-12 with 11:33 to go. Dave Archer, one thing about this Vanderbilt team, and it was Steve Spurrier that said it earlier this year. You know, Bobby Johnson talked about it too. They had the success against Florida. They broke that string of 49 straight losses to top 25 teams. They believe they can play with these guys now, and they showed a quiet confidence. They got put in some bad spots early in the first half, and then they were able to come back and answer here in the fourth quarter.
Well, Dave, the confidence is a fleeting thing, but when you have it, you're going to play at a different level than you might normally play at. It just raises your ability to squeeze the trigger on some decisions that you might not make if you didn't have the confidence. And certainly Vanderbilt playing with a lot more confidence than maybe they've ever played with.
Hanfeld to kick it away. Brandon James inside the 5. James to the 30 and dropped there. Josh Allen with another special teams tackle today for the Commodores. Time now for our Suzuki Way of Life player, and we're going to go with Chris Leak today. He's a Dratty Award finalist, which certainly goes to somebody that's more than just an excellent football player. They got to be good in the classroom as well. He will graduate in 3.5 years. He will have a degree in sociology. Of course, he's a young man that has came in so heralded, had so much placed on his shoulders at Independence High School in Charlotte. And, I don't know if anybody could ever really live up to the expectations that were placed upon him. But he has done a nice job leading the Gators this afternoon. Deshaun Wynn to the 35. In his career, Chris Leak, 29-12 as a starter, and has had to deal with that tumultuous time, the final season of Ron Zook's tenure, and then Urban Meyer comes in with a brand new offense. As a quarterback, you had this at Iowa State, you know, a running team, then all of a sudden you become a passing team. How tough is that?
Well, it's difficult, and I think that the thing you have to admire, obviously a tremendous athlete, has the ability to play the game, but as a person, a tremendous leader, a guy that accepted some of the adversity, really was some of the glue that held this team together through some of those tough years of Ron Zook.
Left side to Deshaun Wynn. Out over the 40 to the 41. A couple of black jerseys on the spot, including 94 Ray Brown, gain of 6. Chris Leak has done so much through the air. You sometimes lose sight, though, that he's chasing Danny Werfel for career passing yardage. Danny Werfel, 10,875 yards in his career, a Heisman Trophy type of career. Needed 938 to tie Werfel coming into this one. Leak 182 yards away from passing Eli Manning.
Well, he's had an outstanding career, and I don't think enough can be said about how he's had. No quarterback likes to come off the field, and he's had to share some time with the youngster.
Leak with 238 through the air today. That passes Eli Manning. And he'll try to add to that here. Looking for Dallas Baker. Picked off at the 25-yard line by Ryan Hamilton. His first interception of the season. Looking for Dallas Baker.
You got him again, Dave. Chris Leak doesn't want to hear your name ever again. You got him again. Chris, what happened? You get play action. You get some benefits of play action. What it does is it freezes people. But what it also does is makes you late throwing the football. Baker won early. He had press coverage on the outside versus Allen. He got clean early because Chris Leak had the play action fake. He was late getting the ball, which allowed the center fielder to come over and make the play.
All right, I'm not going to say Chris Leak's name again the rest of the day. I'm just going to call him 12.
There you go.
Well, here's number 3 for Vanderbilt, Chris Nixon. And the shot is gone near side. Earl Bennett just ran out of room, tried to stop.
Gain of 5 yards on the play.
Take a look at our Hummer scoreboard. Mississippi State still winning. Georgia and Kentucky slow to put points on the board. Auburn now up 10 in the second quarter on Arkansas State, LSU, and Tennessee. That game will get started in, about 10 or 15 minutes. And that's a big game of interest for that man, Urban Meyer. If Florida can hold on here, LSU beats Tennessee, the Gators win the East and head to Atlanta. Done deal. Play clock down to 3-2. They get it off just in time. There's pressure. Nixon hit as he throws up in the air. Did Bill make the catch? Did he make the catch? Oh, yes, he did.
We got two Gators banged up on the play as they collided as they went up against Earl Bennett. Good job of Chris Nixon sorting out the blitz, getting his protection set. Look at him use his eyes, move the safety out of the middle of the field, and then he finds Earl Bennett. And Earl Bennett just goes up and takes the football away from Florida. Earl Bennett running straight down the field on the post route, and he's just going to go take it at its highest point. He wanted it more.
Reggie Lewis, one of the players down, trying to get an eye on the other one that was involved in that collision. I will say this about Earl Bennett. I have had a chance to watch him now for a year and a half, and you know, he is, when you look at him on the field like you and I did, you look at him and you go, this guy is a true athlete. He's got great size. He's strong, got better than average speed. But the thing about it with him is he just makes catches. There's nothing really flashy about the guy.
I'll tell you what it is what you always want to be labeled as from the opposition's coach. He's a player.
Right.
And he goes and makes plays, and when people have to try to defend him because he just makes plays.
Well, last year, the last 4 games of the seasons when Earl Bennett just took off, he had 49 catches, 545 yards, and 9 touchdowns in the final 4 games last year. And as we hit the final 4 this year, he started it off with a 9-for-85 game against Duke. Good hand as Reggie Lewis and Reggie Nelson were both banged up on that collision, and it must have been a big-time hit, because to get Reggie Nelson out of a game is that's almost impossible to do. Let's check in with Dave Baker.
Hey, Dave, Earl Bennett had that 10-catch game against Ole Miss earlier this year. But, Dave Archer, the interesting thing, and you can relate to this as a play caller, is what Ted Kane and the offensive staff of Vanderbilt do in order to get him in different positions, how they use him in motion, because they know people are going to double him up. But I think they're very creative in terms of how they break him free at the line of scrimmage.
No, you're exactly right, Buzz, and we've seen it all day long. We've seen him in the slot. We've seen him outside. We've seen him motion him across the formation. We've even seen him come out of the backfield on plays. You're exactly right. They do everything they can to get Earl Bennett the football.
10 lines up near side. Nixon out of the shotgun. Here comes pressure. Nixon sees it, throws that play. Pass is bobbled out of bounds by George Smith.
Intended for number 88, George Smith, incomplete.
And what Chris Nixon will learn as this thing goes on is that Earl Bennett is going to become as much a factor of a decoy as he is going to be a receiver, because people are trying to defend him. In that situation there, you had Smith slip to the outside to get Smith the football. If he's able to hang on, it'd be a nice play.
Well, Reggie Nelson checks back into the Gators secondary, lines up at safety, and there he is. Misses that one play. Pressure comes backside. Harvey on the run. Seiler almost picked it off. Seiler nearly had it right in his hands. That was actually Jarvis Moss using great speed to try to chase down Nixon, and then the little shovel pass hit 40.
Well, Nixon gets to the outside, and he can feel Moss coming, and he's just going to try to shovel it down the field. And Seiler almost came up with the football.
Ooh, that would have been a big play the other way if Seiler could have held on.
That's one of those ones where Bobby Johnson's jumping up and down going, no, no, no.
8:38 to play in this one. It is 3rd down and 10. Are you in 4-down territory here? We will see in a moment. Here's Jackson Garrison to the 20, to the 19-yard line. I guess we won't have to find out that decision.
Not yet, not yet. I think you are, though. I think you're to the point now where you do go. But this is is just a little screen to the inside to Jackson Garrison. Turns, he looks like he's going to block Moss and slips off the block. Good job of Nixon acting like he's going to throw the ball down the field. That's a lot of it. It's a lot about your quarterback being an actor, like he's going to throw it down the field and then dump it off to his back.
Reggie Lewis checks back into the game for the Gators. Jackson Garrison nowhere to run. Jarvis Moss with 7 stops.
Again, you make a couple of plays against the Florida defense, and here comes the pressure. This time they come up with a 7 up on the line of scrimmage look, and they came, and there was just no gap, no place to run the football.
Here's a look at that red zone powered by Honda Generators for the ultimate tailgating experience. Look at the Gators defensively this year. They have been very successful in that department. They're 3rd best in the league in red zone defense. There's Charlie Strong, co-defensive coordinator. 2nd down and 10. Nixon swings it near side. Makes a man miss. Down to the 14-yard line, but that'll bring up a 3rd down and about 5. Everett with the tackle.
Well, we just talked to Dave Baker downstairs, and he talked about how they're using Earl Bennett. Oh. How about that catch as he pulls it off the shoe tops and then made Ryan Smith miss, who only has 7 tackles on the day. Great job by Earl Bennett again, using him in a different place coming out of the backfield.
Bennett now with 11 grabs. Walker had the football down around the 10, and he is tackled by Reggie Lewis, who was banged up earlier. Jarvis Moss also comes in to help out.
Plus, again, another blitz, all-out blitz. They can't block everybody. He gets the ball out quickly to Walker. Buzz, this was right at you. I thought you were going to make the tackle on this play. He was right down there in front of the play.
Well, this is a big 4th down right here, 4th and 2. In a timeout taken by Vanderbilt. And in a close game, using these timeouts could be costly. But you better score here or it may not matter. Everybody's up for a big 4th down and 2. You see the story, 25-12, Gators lead. We're in the 4th quarter.
Earl Bennett singled one-on-one with Ryan Smith at the bottom.
We'll toss sweep, they'll run it. Jason Jackson Garrison, he needed to get down to about the 9.5. If it's a right foot spot, he might have gotten it. I don't know.
Now, this might be one of those situations where you see a coach challenge a spot. A good job of Jackson Garrison getting up the field, but it's a good spot.
I think it's a good spot, absolutely. Dave Baker, you're looking right down that line.
Spot, Dave, I agree with you. I think with that spot, I don't know that he got it.
Oh. These few seconds have got to be terrorizing Bobby Johnson, and he didn't get it. And Bobby Johnson is hot.
Well, if he disagrees with the spot, I think you challenge it. I think you have to. You almost, even though you only got 1 timeout left.
I think that's your best opportunity. I think you do. I think you're right. Why not take another look at it? We will do it. We don't have to burn a timeout.
Yeah,
I think that's a good spot.
I do too. Outstanding job. I can't get the number on the Florida player that makes Jackson Garrison hurdle over the top. An outstanding job by one of the Florida defenders. Looked like one of their defensive linemen to blow that play up.
And the clock starts. There's 15 on the play clock. And Lee can snap it with 12. And Deshaun Wynn gets it out to the 14-yard line. Take a look at our Hummer scoreboard. Alabama with another field goal. It was 24-10 at the half. Mississippi State led, and now Georgia in the 4th quarter still with that lead over Kentucky, and Auburn not exactly running away from Arkansas State. And that LSU-Tennessee game about to kick off in a matter of moments. Gets the handoff right side. He trips and stumbles. Wow.
And it looked like he fell down on the first play as well, Dave. 2 times it looked like he's had some running room and went down.
So you got 1 timeout left, and you're at 4:53. After this play, do you burn it here?
I think you almost have to try to save as much time as you can, so I think you burn the timeout before the punt.
Closed captioning is provided by IKBI Incorporated, building vision, building relationships. For more info, go to ikbiinc.com.
Chris Leak maybe a quarterback draw here to take care of the ball.
Looks like they're on speed coming off that edge. He will come right at Leak, pass near side. It's caught by Caldwell, and he is met and hit at the 16 by Kevin Joyce, who is from Howey in the Hills, Florida. His last chance to meet the Gators.
And there is the timeout by Vanderbilt, their last one. You got to credit Langford, 33. He's the one that kind of bottles the play up and allows Joyce to come up and make the hit.
You know what Kevin Joyce does in his free time is he wrestles alligators. He took Jay Cutler down to his house last year, and he said, come on, I want to show you some alligators. Well, he jumps out of a boat and starts wrestling an alligator. And Jay Cutler's like, whoa, time out. Well, fans, time to pick a winner in the Aaron Superfan Contest. Log on to SouthernSportsAwards.com and now vote for your favorite finalist. Then tune in to the 2006 Southern Sports Awards this December to see who takes home the Superfan Award and a home entertainment system courtesy of Aaron's. Well, you got 4:12, so say that they get the football back with 4 minutes. The Vandy offense had better be ready to go. On the change of possession, the clock will start immediately, so you don't want to waste 15 seconds huddling on the sideline. So this offense needs to get ready to go. A good punt return gets you to midfield. And then it has to become, I would think, the Chris Nixon, Earl Bennett show if you want to get in this thing.
And Chris Nixon is probably going to have to try to make some throws down the field as opposed to the short passing attack that was okay to continue to work midway through the third quarter.
Remember, these two clubs last year, double overtime in Gainesville. Still a lot of talk about the unsportsmanlike penalty when Vanderbilt had a chance to go for the win. A 2-point conversion would have gotten them the win, but a excessive celebration penalty against Earl Bennett in the end zone after a touchdown nullified that opportunity. High snap. Wilbur, low line drive kick. He's done it that way all day. The football is dropped, and who's going to get it? I think Vandy came up with it. Florida had 2 or 3 opportunities, but that low line drive by Eric Wilbur has been tough for the Commodores to handle all day long.
Looked like maybe Jared Fagan got in and made the recovery. Sophomore cornerback hustling down the field. Washington made the right decision to come up. You talked about it, Dave, how difficult the wind is down on the field and flipping the ball around, very difficult. But Fagan does a nice job, young cornerback, to preserve the situation.
There's the timeout situation. Vandy with none. There's 4:01, and now the clock starts. Nixon out of the shotgun. 4-man rush. Throw to the near side. And Bennett couldn't handle it.
Intended for number 10, Earl Bennett, incomplete.
What you'll see from Florida now is they'll just let their front four get after Chris Nixon, kind of disregard the run and play zone coverage and make Chris Nixon throw the ball underneath and come up and make the tackle and try to eat up the clock as much as they can.
10, Vanderbilt, 46-yard line.
Jarvis Moss ate him up. I don't think he was touched. 4.5 sacks on the year now for Mr. Moss.
Now, Moss has been a monster coming off the edge. Did a good job of pressuring Nixon in the last series of downs. And this is just a clean win with his speed around the edge to get the sack.
Gators on the year with 23 sacks. Big day for Moss. 8 tackles, a couple of pressures, and now a sack. After the loss of 9, here is Nixon. He'll try to run and get as much as he can. Right back to the original line of scrimmage with 3:06 to play. That'll bring up a 4th down and 10. And once again up front, Gators going without Marcus Thomas. A comment from Urban Meyer. I quote, Marcus did not meet his responsibilities and obligations to remain on the team. So the Gators will go the rest of the way without their big defensive tackle, the senior out of Jacksonville.
Well, what Coach Urban Meyer would tell you is it's about the guys that are on the field. And these guys are battling. He owes them. It's responsible to those guys that are doing the right things to allow this team to win football games and the respect of their program.
Four-man rush again. Here's Bennett. He's going to have to hustle to get the first down. Did he get it? I think he did. And if they don't, I think his left foot got across that line. And if Vandy doesn't get the spot on this one, Bobby Johnson might blow a gasket.
Earl Bennett does a good job of coming underneath and catching the football and then trying to find that marker. Boy, he was right near it.
Where's the football, though? It's not necessarily where his foot is. It's where the football is. And I'll tell you what, that football was in his right hand.
I think he got it by about a half a foot.
Well, I'll say this. I think that time it was a generous spot for Vanderbilt.
Well, you got to have a lot of confidence in your guy, Earl Bennett, if you're going to lay it off short of the first down. He got a good block by one of his other receivers and was able to just get enough for the first down.
They'll take the first down. A minute and 5 seconds have ticked off the clock since Vanderbilt got the football back. Whistles blow. Maybe Florida Urban Meyer might have wanted a timeout. He was down there on the Gator sideline jumping up and down. That may have been what the whistles were for. You know what? He may be using a timeout to see and review that spot.
Coach has called timeout to challenge the spot on the previous play.
See, and I think that is an outstanding call by Urban Meyer. Why not? If the Gators win, this game's over. We'll find out in a moment. Urban Meyer anxiously awaiting the call, and this 13-point game with 2:56 to go. He called a timeout to question the spot, but as you were saying, it's going to be hard to overturn this one.
Well, we had a discussion about this before the game, and if Dave Baker, Buzz, we talked about this before the game, and this is exactly why they had the coach's decision in, right?
The play stands as called on the field. First down. Florida is charged with their second team timeout.
To go ahead.
Urban Meyer loses the timeout. And Chris Nixon in this Vanderbilt offense will have it first down and 10.
Touchdown! It'll be first and 10 Vanderbilt.
By the way,
The Florida 46-yard line.
Chris Nixon has thrown for a career high 254 yards today, bettering his performance last weekend by 4 yards. Seven up in the box for the Gators. They will bring 5 and nearly picked off. Bennett broke his pattern out to the outside. Nixon threw it over the middle. Got lucky that one wasn't taken away by Reggie Lewis.
And what they're doing with this all look all-up look defensively, and then they're dropping back out into zone as they're trying to screw up the protection. Guys are, you're seeing Nixon pointing out who's the blitzer, who's the hot guy, and so the offensive line is trying to sort that out. And then when all those guys drop out, now you try to sort out who is coming, and it screws up the protection. That's what Florida's trying to do. Bluff the blitz and then drop the zone.
7 again up on the line of scrimmage. And then 4 peel off. Casey Jackson Garrison bounces off a couple of defenders and finally brought down to 31. That'll be a first down. Reggie Nelson with the tackle.
Now this is where Chris Nixon has to manage the game. He's got to preserve as much time as he can. They got the first down, get the play called while they get this change set. And when they get it set, you got to get it snapped. Preserve as much time as you can, because you got to have 2 scores.
Vanderbilt at the 31-yard line.
Nixon over the middle. Earl Bennett to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown.
We've talked about this combination all day, Dave. Chris Nixon and Earl Bennett. And this is what it is. This is just 2 sophomore players making 2 big-time plays. It's a great catch by Bennett. It's a tremendous throw from Chris Nixon between 2 Florida Gators. And now you're down to 1 score. It's been a great matchup all day. Ryan Smith gets away with a little bit of holding at the line. But Bennett makes a big-time grab when he needed to.
Earl Bennett is just big time. And we still got to go to Yahoo Sports to see over 50 Lincoln Financial Sports SEC football and basketball games. And for only $4.95 per month, you can hear thousands of audio broadcasts. Be sure and follow your team all season long at Yahoo Sports.
Well, this is an onside kick situation. You have no timeouts left. You know the clock runs at the change of possession now with the new rules. And with Vandy has no ability to stop the clock, I think Chris Lee could just kneel down on the football and the game be over.
One of the questions I have is if Florida does recover, this game's over, what does this look like to the people on the outside in terms of BCS rankings, polls? It's a question that will be debated long and hard, I'm sure. A line drive kick, rolled around. Who's got it? The Gators do. Dallas Baker came up with the football. A line drive that bounced off a couple of white jerseys, and that'll basically do it. 2:24 to play in this one.
Well, there's a lot of different ways to do the onside kick. This is one he's trying to line off of somebody. You see Tim Tebow is part of that hands package. Dallas Baker ends up with the ball. Going back to what you were talking about, Dave, as far as Florida and are they going to lose some votes here because of the game here against Vanderbilt? I don't think they're going to get enough credit for beating a really good Vanderbilt team on their field. I mean, I think Vanderbilt's being undersold here. This is a really good football team.
I will agree with that wholeheartedly. The polls make up 2/3 of the BCS rankings. The computers come into play, and you know there's that perception, and I think some people out west may not understand how good Vanderbilt is this year. I mean,
this is a football team that has 4 wins, but could easily have 6 or 7 wins had things bounced a different direction. A lot of other teams will say those kind of stories, but when you say that about in this league, you're talking about something completely different. It's a different animal in this league.
Tebow trying to break one loose lane. He'll pick up the first down, and that will definitely end any hopes and dreams of Vanderbilt pulling off the upset. A gain of 12 for Tim Tebow. Another tough loss for that man, Bobby Johnson. But I can tell you this, Urban Meyer will be glad to get out of here and go to 8-1 and 6-1. And remember, if LSU goes to Knoxville, which they just kicked off, and beats Tennessee, the Gators are heading to Atlanta for the SEC title game on December 2nd.
Which extends your opportunity to be a part of that national championship picture.
I think ultimately when it gets down to it, if Florida wins the SEC championship game, don't know how you don't. If a one-loss team is in that mix, I don't know how you can avoid putting the Gators in a title game if they run the table and a one-loss team is in the mix.
Especially if you're waiting into the season losses more than you do at the beginning of the season, because you're talking about Ohio State and Michigan. Somebody's going to lose on November the 18th. At the Horseshoe in Columbus. So that's an end of the season loss. And does that drop them below a one-loss Florida team or a one-loss Arkansas team?
I've talked about it till I was blue in the face this week, and I'm going to change a whole bunch of different colors before this season is out. Urban Meyer and the Gators pick up the win here in Nashville, 25-19. The Commodores did not go quietly. A late touchdown made it a 6-point contest. Vandy will fall to 4-6 and 1-5 in SEC play. The Gators, they are down to one final SEC showdown, and that will be against South Carolina next weekend. Steve Spurrier comes home to take on the Gators, his alma mater and the team he led to a national championship in 1996. Will be in the Swamp, wearing the Gators garnet and black. Or excuse me, the Gamecocks garnet and black.
That's right.
Next weekend down in the Swamp. That'll be a lot of fun. That's a possibility. We could be there. We don't know. We'll wait till all these games are decided here this afternoon. But I got to take my hat off to Florida. It wasn't a pretty game, but they found a way to win this game, and that's what good teams do. They find a way.
That's right. And on the road in the SEC, it's an outstanding win. You beat a good football team on their field.
The Alltel SEC Game of the Week has been brought to you by Alltel, by Advance Auto Parts, by Sonic Drive-In, by Hummer, by Regions Bank, and by Bell South.
Urban Meyer picks up the win. His record at Florida goes to 17-4. He is 56-12 now as a head coach overall. And the Gators win at 25-19 over the Vanderbilt Commodores. And another close game between these two clubs. I can't say enough, though, about what Vanderbilt did. They had a chance to fold early, a block punt, quick touchdown, but that did not let them feel like they couldn't compete on this level. These two guys came to play today, my friends. Dallas Baker, 7 catches, 135 yards. Earl Bennett, look at his numbers, 13 catches today. There are Lincoln Financial Group players of the game, and in recognition of their efforts, Lincoln Financial Group is pleased to provide $2,000 to the scholarship fund of the 12 member institutions of the SEC. Hello, future.
Well, this was a game you could have picked a bunch of guys, and it's neat when you have games like that, but those two guys are very deserving of that honor.
We'll come back right after this. Stay with us.
Back here at Vanderbilt Stadium, where the Gators have gotten a hard-fought 25-19 win over the Vanderbilt Commodores. Head coach Urban Meyer, this is a good Vanderbilt football team you beat on their home field today.
Yeah, it seems like I think it was Arkansas, and I think it was Alabama, and now was. It's a tough win to come in here and play. But we have to learn how. If you're a great football team, which we're not, if you're a great football team, you put away in the fourth quarter, you find a way to put that thing away, because we should have done that. But that, not to take anything away from them, there's some very good players at Vanderbilt.
Absolutely. In terms of this and this victory, you got the offense going. Your defense has been the consistent for you throughout this season.
We're not getting the offense going. That's not offense going. That's 3 turnovers, 3 pass interceptions. I think he ran the ball decent and made some plays, but no, that's not very good offense right there.
In terms of what it is and finding that consistency, anything you can put your finger on?
Yeah, it's penalties and turnovers, and I think we cut back on some penalties. We had some of those as well, but the turnovers in this conference, I think you said Alabama got beat. I can guarantee they turned it over. You got to take care of the football, and we want to take some shots down the field, and I think 2 of those were turnovers. So we just have to take care of the ball.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it very much. Chris Leak is over here, the Florida quarterback. Chris, 3 picks today, uncharacteristic, but you guys get the job done and you get a victory on somebody else's home field.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good, to get a home win. And, guys, we fought through it. We fought through some adversity and kept playing and came out with a victory.
You guys have been fighting all year, and you're still in a position to fight for not only for an Eastern Division championship and a trip to that conference championship game, which is something you've been wanting, but stay in a national championship hunt as well.
Oh yeah, I mean that's been our goal, since day one. We want to, compete for an SEC title and for a national title, and our goals are still alive, and we're going to keep doing everything, to make sure that we reach those goals.
All right, Chris, congratulations.
Appreciate
Best of luck to you down the road. That's Chris Leak. He threw the 3 picks today, but he got some in the end zone, and the Florida Gators get the victory here at Vanderbilt Stadium. Let's kick it back upstairs to Dave Neal and Dave Archer.
All right, Buzz, Urban Meyer not happy at all. I mean, he seemed like a very frustrated coach, but he's sitting atop the standings.
Well, coaches are never happy with a win. There's always something else they can tweak and get better at. What they did do is they got the win here on the road.
Well, our other game today, Mississippi State, Alabama. And this is how it went down in Tuscaloosa. Tony Burks with a big touchdown catch. That gave Mississippi State a 7-3 lead. Then in the second quarter, Jeffrey Dukes would pick off the Mike Hinnick pass at the 22-yard line, take it for the touchdown. We were tied at 10. And then Smith would come up with a big catch from Hinnick. Touchdown, 17-10. And now Quentin Culberson, the former defensive back with the interception in midfield, would take it the distance. And that would be the difference in the game. And Sylvester Croom goes back home for the first time to his alma mater in a place that he played for and coached under Bear Bryant. And he gets dunked with, or just a little bit. The big fella showing some quickness. He picks up the win in a really big win for the program at Mississippi State and Sylvester Croom. It's been an uphill battle, but good to see him pick up a win.
Definitely one of the really good coaches, one of the really good people out there that teach young men how to perform on the field and off the field. He does an outstanding job.
Well, the announcers for this game were selected and compensated by Lincoln Financial Sports. This broadcast was a copyright presentation. Any use of the broadcast without the express permission of the Southeastern Conference and Lincoln Financial Sports is prohibited. Dave Archer enjoyed it. Gators trying to win a national championship. A couple more games to go before that will be determined.
They still got a shot, though, and that's the main thing.
That's right. All you want is a shot. No question about it. Well, for Dave Archer and Dave Baker and the rest of our Lincoln Financial Sports crew, I'm Dave Neal saying so long, everybody. Don't forget to check lfsports.com on Monday to find out what all the TV games will be next weekend. No matter where we'll be, it'll be a good one in the Southeastern Conference. So from Nashville, Tennessee, have a great weekend. We'll see you down the road. The Gators win it by 6 over the Commodores. You've been watching Lincoln Financial Sports exclusive coverage of SEC football.